that is the left-handed hitters take advantage of the left field wall. The right-handed hitters take advantage of the wall and the spacious right center field area. So this is a hitter-friendly ballpark. They have a lot of good hitters on this Red Sox team. They're going to have to outscore them tonight.
All right, so Manny Ramirez is yet to hit. David Ortiz is yet to hit. They're hoping to break loose big time here tonight. And Derek Lowe will try and shut down the Athletics. He's getting ready to head out to the mound to face the Oakland Athletics and their MVP from last year, Miguel Tejada. They'll be facing off shortly. Was just removed from the infield. Well, maybe an hour ago. So the outfield itself is going to be rather slippery tonight, perhaps treacherous. We'll have to see how it plays. With us here tonight at Fenway Park is our colleague Gary Miller. Gary?
John, when you're in the kind of situation the Red Sox are in, you got to do anything to change your luck. When Kevin Millar came to the park for the workout yesterday, Andy Abad, a late season call-up, gave him a buzz cut. The rest of the team saw his commitment. Tonight, almost everyone on the team has either shaved their head completely, in the example of Gabe Kapler, who is next to Millar there in the lineup, or cut it very short. Over 15 players in this roster have done that. Now, this is a guy who treated his bat with deer urine when he was a Marlin, so he knows something about trying to change your luck. Derek Lowe said he'll cut his hair tomorrow. The Red Sox hope there is a tomorrow.
All right, well, we'll see how effective that strategy is here.
It'll only help you if you can hit.
Now let's take a look at the Oakland Athletics batting order turned in by manager Ken Maka, presented by Bristol Myers Squibb. Billy McMillan in left field as Jose Guillen has that hand hurting him right now a little bit more than it had been. He's out. Rubiel Durazo, the DH. Miguel Tejada at short, and he's only 1 for 10 in the series. Eric Chavez, the other big Oakland slugger, 0 for 10. Ramon Hernandez, the game 1 hero, the catcher. Scott Hatterberg, the former Red Sox, at first base. Mark Ellis at second base. Terrence Long gets the start in right field, hitting 8th, and Eric Burns, one of the heroes of game 2, with a big 2-run double, is in center field. Derek Lowe is on the mound, 17-7, and Joey got that great sinker.
Well, he's going to have to use his sinker. He feels comfortable here in this ballpark. He keeps the ball down. He gets a lot of ground balls. He has a better ratio than anyone, almost 4-to-1 ground balls to fly balls. So, and he throws a very, very good sinker, throws a slider also. But the sinker is his main pitch. And he changes speeds on it a little bit, similar to Kevin Brown of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So the Red Sox, and one of their watchwords this year has been to cowboy up. First pitch in there for a called strike, which also comes from Kevin Millar. Even somebody here wrote a song called Cowboy Up, which they played just before the Red Sox took the field. That is a little bit low. Paul Emmel is the home plate umpire tonight.
And you see the way Derek Lowe pitches. He'll throw your medium sinker to get ahead of you, and then he throws the good sinker. That was his good sinker.
1 ball, 1 strike, and ball 2 outside. McMillan, during the year, hit .268 in 153 at-bats. He was Oakland's most often used pinch hitter. Up the first base line, that's a fair ball. And Millar takes it himself, and there is 1 away.
And let's take a look at the defense behind Derek Lowe. And the big change is right there at second base. Damian Jackson's in there in place of Todd Walker, because Jackson covers a little more ground, and you're going to get a lot more ground balls off of Lowe. And other than that, it's a pretty good defense. Not a great defense. I think Manny Ramirez has really improved in left field, and you got Gabe Kapler in right field with a strong arm.
Now, here is Rubiel Durazo, the former Arizona Diamondback, who has been a force so far in this series. He drove in the tying run in the 9th inning of game 1 against Alan Embry as he fouls one off his foot to strike 1. He is 3 for 8 so far and has driven in 3 runs. After him, Tejada, and then Chavez. And it's interesting because the Boston sluggers, especially Ramirez and Ortiz, have been shut down. And that's very noticeable. The Red Sox have lost the first 2 games, but Oakland's 2 big sluggers, right, Tejada and Chavez, have been shut down as well. 1 strike pitch. Fastball in there for a strike, and it's 0-2.
And that's a different fastball. Anytime you see Veritek raise his glove, you're going to see the straight fastball. That was a straight fastball, and they tried to get inside on him, and they were able to do so. The only time you'll see him raise his glove is when he wants that straight fastball. Other than that, he's going to try to keep the sinker down. Well, you see Durazo trying to break Derek Lowe's rhythm here, stepping out, taking a little longer than normal.
And too low, 1 ball, 2 strikes. In game 1, Lowe actually came in out of the bullpen in that extra inning marathon at the Oakland Coliseum and took the loss through 42 pitches in that one. Backdoored him with a breaking ball and missed off the outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now both Lowe and his manager Grady Little insist that that actually benefited Lowe. The plan going in was for him to pitch an inning or 2 in that game.
Well, the reason for that is because he hadn't pitched in a while, and if he would not have pitched there, this would be 9 days in between the last time he pitched and today. So they had a plan, and it really they ended up using him in the right way. I mean, here's a guy that could have gone as long as they needed him to go in that first game in order to win it.
Speaking of which, just about everybody is available out of the Boston bullpen today as Durazo strikes out chasing that sinker.
Well, he laid off a couple of close pitches, but eventually you're going to chase that sinker with 2 strikes. And because it starts in the strike zone and sinks out. And this is what Derek Lowe does to you. Watch the movement on this pitch. See, it's up, up. Now look where the catcher catches it. Down and away. Now watch, it starts up, and that's why Durazo thinks it's a strike, and then it just moves off the plate.
Now starts up, not to be confused with cowboy up. All right, here's Tejada. And he takes ball 1 down and away. But going back to this thing about the whole Red Sox pitching staff really is available out of the bullpen tonight, except for tomorrow's scheduled starter, John Burkett, and that includes Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez could be used as the closer for the Red Sox today. But very softly, Lowe barehands it and just got it. The side is retired. Lowe retires the Athletics in short order. Nomar coming up second. The Red Sox coming to bat.
This presentation of the 2003 MLB Division Series brought to you by PlayStation 2.
After rain through much of the day, we're starting right on time at Fenway. The Athletics have already come and gone in their first inning at bats, and now the Red Sox are coming up against Ted Lilly. And here's the Bristol Myers Squibb Red Sox batting order. It'll be Johnny Damon in center. Nomar Garcia-Parra hitting second and short. Bill Miller, the American League batting champion, at third base. Manny Ramirez, they're hoping he'll break out tonight. He's in left. David Ortiz hitless in Oakland, the DH. Kevin Millar at first base. Jason Varitek, the catcher, hit seventh. Gabe Kapler in right field. And Damian Jackson starting in place of Todd Walker at second base because of all the ground balls that Lowe ordinarily will induce. And there is Ted Lilly, 12-10 during the regular season.
And Johnny won 6 of his last 7 decisions, so he's on a roll, and he's throwing the ball very, very well. Has a fastball, curveball, slider, change, and he has a 2-seam fastball. That's the sinker. The 4-seam's a rider. So he is well equipped to hold the Red Sox down, but he's going to have to stay ahead of the hitters.
Johnny Damon bluffs the bunt and takes high. 1 ball, no strikes.
Sean, I could just feel the energy in this ballpark, not just with the fans, but with the players as well. And it's going to be up to Lilly to slow this down, to stifle all this energy in the first couple of innings. But there is a lot of energy there with the players.
He made a beautiful pitch right there to Damon, knee high on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the slider off the outside. 2 balls and a strike. Lilly lost his last start, which was really just a tune-up, last Sunday in Seattle. Before that, had won 6 in a row. Damon, well, he might have helped him out on that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The one key for Lilly is his fastball. We're going to have to see if he throws it a lot, if he's willing to challenge some of these hitters early in the count with the fastball. He looks like he's throwing pretty well.
2-2 the count. This one is down the left field line. That one is a fair ball. It'll roll into the corner and up against the wall. The carom played by McMillan as Damon eases into second, and he is led off the first inning with a double. Meanwhile, They're playing in Chicago at Wrigley. Here's an update from Carl Rabbit.
John, thank you very much. Maybe the Red Sox bats are going. Atlanta's bats got going today. Chipper Jones hit a home run from the left side of the plate and later from the right side. Bobby Valentine, he looked like he was dialed in.
He was dialed in with his back up against the wall, and he put the outfielders' backs up against the wall. Chipper is the man's man, doing what he has to do.
John, they're running away with it. Looks like they're going back to Atlanta.
All right, now here is Nomar Garcia-Parra, runner at second. Nobody out. Nomar takes a fastball high and tight for ball one. Nomar 3 for 8 so far in this series with a couple of walks.
John, we saw exactly what I was talking about, the left-handed hitters. Damon trying to go the other way. They do that more here than they do on the road, the left-handed hitters.
Called a strike on the inside. Nomar backing away from it, but it caught the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And because of the green monster being so close, the left-handed hitters can hit it just as easily as the right-handed hitters do.
It says 310 feet to the left field foul pole, but most who have played here, especially most who have pitched here, think that it's much closer than that. Fastball too far in that time. 2 balls and a strike to Nomar. Bill Miller on deck.
John, I remember a quote from Ted Williams. He walked it off, and it was supposed to be like 296 down the left field line, rather than the stated 310.
2-1 the count. He dropped down a little bit with that one, but missed inside again. 3-1.
And you see he's trying to throw a lot of breaking balls. Again, I think he has to establish his fastball. The games that I've seen him pitch well this year, he established his fastball first and then went to the off-speed pitches.
3-1 the count to Garcia-Parra. That's Damon at second. And a foul, and now it's a full count. Lilly pitched 1 time here this year. That was in August 20th. And it wasn't pretty. He went 3 1/3 innings and gave up 6 runs and 10 hits to the Red Sox. Although Oakland then came from behind in the late innings of that game and won. 3-2 to count. And he walks him. And that doesn't often happen. Nomar a free swinger, but he walks, putting 2 men on with nobody out.
Well, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this A's defense because I think Boston's going to put a lot of pressure on them by putting a lot of balls in play, putting a lot of people on base. Let's take a look at the defense. And there you see Ellis at second, Tejada. They are very, very capable up the middle. Burns in center. McMillan takes over in left. Long in right in place of Jermaine Dye. And Chavez, of course, a Gold Glove winner at third.
Now Bill Miller, the batting champion. And it's 0-1. Miller has had great success as a left-handed hitter. He's sort of the prototype of what you're talking about here at Fenway. When he batted left-handed at Fenway this year, he hit .369. But only .275 as a right-handed hitter, where he's batting here at the moment. He hit .295 right-handed overall this year. 2 men on, nobody out. No score in the game. And a pop foul by Miller off to the right. So quickly he's behind in the count now. 0-2. Manny Ramirez is on deck. Miller had just a remarkable season. He's always been a good hitter, but a guy who hit very few homers and was mostly a singles hitter. And this year, 19 homers, 45 doubles, 5 triples, and 85 runs batted in.
And again, a lot of that is due to playing in this ballpark and playing with a lot of good hitters.
You got Damon at second, Garcia-Parra at first. Nobody out. And Lilly missed badly with that fastball.
Well, that was supposed to be a show-me fastball. I'm just going to show it to you, and then I'll try to get you out with something else. But he wanted to make sure he didn't miss in the strike zone with it.
Looked like he was trying to show it to us up here in the roof of Fenway. That was a little bit high. There's Ramirez on deck. The wind is blowing out at Fenway right now. Straight out. Not a real strong breeze at the moment. Just off the outside corner with that one. That might have been the one he's trying to throw the pitch before.
Well, he definitely wanted that one on that pitch. And there you see the wind blowing out. That's the center field flag.
Before the game, when it was raining, it was blowing out to left field. Right now it's blowing Mostly the straightaway center and sometimes the right field. 2-2. He struck him out.
And that's what I like about Lilly when he's throwing well. He will challenge you with the fastball because he has a good one. And this fastball is running away from Miller, which is the way left-handed pitchers have success here. So that ball's running away. You see the catcher reach out and grab it because it's tailing away. And Miller pulled off a little bit. Left-handers who are successful pitching here in Fenway Park have the tail on their fastball, the one that moves away from the right-handed hitters to keep them from peppering the left field wall.
You see Manny Ramirez only 1 hit and 8 at-bats. He's the RBI man. And he's been one of the best in the game, but he has not been able to deliver so far in this series. He got 2 men on, 1 man out here. And he got jabbed on that one, and the ball is back out of play. 0-1 now. Ramirez against Lilly has had 5 hits in 9 at-bats, and 2 of those hits have been home runs. So he's had great success against Lilly.
Well, he tried to go in on him there. I tell you what, that pitch was fouled back by Manny. He did not miss it by much.
You know, over the years, a lot of lefties pitching at Fenway have had a hard time even thinking about going inside the right-handed power hitters because that wall is so close. And Lilly, I mean, he's got to go inside with these right-handers. That's his style.
Well, he's going to have to go in. He doesn't have to throw strikes in there all the time, but he's going to have to keep them honest.
Damon at second, Garcia-Parra at first. 1 out.
Good fastball again.
Got it by him.
He's throwing the ball well, and that's the key. And he's establishing his fastball the first time through the order, and then the next time you'll see him go to maybe a few more off-speed pitches. Perfect location right on the inside corner.
So he's quickly ahead of Ramirez, 0-2 after Damon and Garcia-Parra got on base. Lilly jumped ahead of Miller, finally struck him out. Now he's 0-2 with Ramirez.
Wants it up.
And he struck him out on 3 pitches.
High fastball. I mean, he's throwing the ball well. And that will stifle all that energy I talked about, not only from the fans, but with the Red Sox players as well. See, when the catcher stands up here, that tells you I want the fastball up here. And he gets Manny to go up and out of the strike zone. I mean, that's good pitching there by Lilly. Get ahead in the count, get them to help you out.
Now, another one of the Red Sox sluggers. He was so strong during the year that David Ortiz had people talking about MVP. At the end of the year, 31 homers, 101 RBIs, 325 batting average. He was a great 288 batting average, I beg your pardon. A great presence in the clubhouse as well. And the breaking ball, strike 1. Wow, Lilly got in trouble, and he's been a strike throwing machine ever since.
Well, Barry Zito kept Ortiz off balance with the curveball, threw him a lot of curveballs, and then he buzzed him with the fastball in and away. So he used the breaking ball to set up his fastball, that is Zito, and we'll see if Lilly pitches him the same way. Since Zito had success doing it, you might think that Lilly would try the same thing.
Ortiz did hit a couple of balls in Oakland to left field that were routine outs there that many felt would have caused some trouble with the big wall in left field here. And he has learned to love the wall, as have many left-handed power hitters over the decades. Another slider, and that misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. The first 3 hitters for the Red Sox in this series, well, they've done well. They've done their jobs. They've been getting on base anyway. But then the middle 3 hitters, Ramirez, Ortiz, Millar, they've been shut down, especially Ramirez and Ortiz. 1-1 to David Ortiz. And a fastball. The first fastball of the sequence, fouled back and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And he was very late on that. He actually tried to catch up with his hands because his body was slow reacting to it, but he just tried to flip it to left field with his hands.
Historically, Fenway's been tough on left-handed pitchers, and only 4 left-handed starters in postseason play have ever beaten the Red Sox at Fenway Park. Those are the odds that Lilly's facing. Well, they tried to get Ortiz to chase that high one, but Ortiz laid off. He was watching what they did to Manny Ramirez. 2-2. Bobby Ojeda beat them in their 1986 World Series here. The Mets left-handed. Andy Pettit beat them here in the postseason in '99. But only 4 left-handed starters have ever beaten the Red Sox in a postseason game at Fenway. Lilly trying to be the 5th. 2-2. And this time he chased it. Strike 3. So it started so promisingly for the Red Sox. And then 3 consecutive strikeouts. No score. Eric Chavez coming up. And the Red Sox hoping to set up a game 4 here tomorrow. They'll have to win tonight to do so. And they let a great opportunity to jump ahead in this ball game. Get past him. Had 2 men on, nobody out. And their big hit is up. But Ted Lilly then struck out the side. Very impressive as Eric Chavez, Oakland's cleanup hitter, takes a strike from Derek Lowe. Now the ground ball, the Lowe specialty, and Millar too low for the putout. 1 away. Meanwhile, let's get an update from Wrigley Field. Here is Carl Rabbit.
All right, John, thank you. 8th inning, Cubs down 6-2. Eric Karros at the plate. Not anymore. 6-3 after this home run leaves. Karros 6 for 12 in the series. And the Cubs are going to come up in the bottom of the 9th to face Smoltz.
All right, and they're hoping to get that one back to Turner Field, Atlanta, for Kerry Wood up against the Atlanta Braves. Here is Ramon Hernandez, and he takes a strike on the outside. Hernandez, who really damaged the Red Sox in addition to shocking it with that bunt in game 1 that won the game with 2 down. And he too has hit the ground ball here. 5 in a row, retired 4 of them on ground balls. And here's the bunt we're talking about. Bases loaded, 2 down. What a risk. He dropped down the bunt with the infield back, and it was a beauty. The Red Sox were helpless watching the winning run score there. And that was a game they led by a run into the 9th inning and could not hold that lead. Rubiel Durazo knocked in the tying run, and Hernandez with that stunning bunt. 2 down, nobody on. Scott Hatterberg, the hitter. We're at Fenway Park, top of the 2nd inning. No score in the game. Derek Lowe, the Boston pitcher, has retired the first 5 Athletics. 4 on ground balls. Scott Hatterberg, the hitter now, the former Red Sox. He is 1 for 8 in the series. And that's off the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Derek Lowe said the one thing he was worried about in this start, that, you know, the adrenaline, he might be sky high and overthrow. Well, so far he's staying ahead of the hitters and he's throwing quite well. Good sinker.
Another ground ball, and that's the inning as Jackson throws out Hatterberg. So Lowe is in vintage form, a 7-pitch inning. Kevin Millar coming up for Boston. Nothing. Red Sox nothing. Last of the 2nd inning now from Fenway Park. Oakland with a 2-0 lead over the Red Sox, needing 1 more win to clinch this series. However, they have lost the last 6 games in which they've had an opportunity to clinch a postseason series.
Most of those were against the Yankees, though.
Yeah, and then last year,
Minnesota, but the Yankees are the ones that have really hurt them.
The last year, now the Twins did win the last 2 games when Oakland had a chance to clinch it.
Right.
The Yankees won the last 3 games when they were in the same spot as the Red Sox. It was the year that Derek Jeter made that play, helping them secure a 1-0 lead in the 3rd game and a 1-0 victory, as it turned out. And of course, they lost the final game in 2000 to those same Yankees. 1-1 the count to Kevin Millar, and a foul that would go back out of play. Now Millar was one of the guys who got the buzz cut, figuring maybe that would change the Red Sox luck, and a lot of guys followed suit. Not us, of course. Just the Red Sox guys. 1-2 Ted Lilly, and that is grabbed by Chavez, and he does not get him. Remarkable attempt there by Chavez. Base hit from Millar. Meanwhile, things are happening at Wrigley Field. Let's go to Carl Rabbit.
Thank you, John. Indeed they are. John Smoltz came on in the 9th and so far has yet to retire anybody. Randall Simon led off with a double, followed by another double. The tying run in the form of Kenny Lofton is at the plate. And again, Smoltz has yet to retire and out. Let's go back to Fenway. We'll keep you posted.
So We'll keep a close eye on that one, as the Atlanta Braves are trying to stay alive there and get it back to Turner Field for Game 5 tomorrow. Here the Red Sox are just trying to stay alive for another day. Jason Varitek, the big catcher, takes a strike on a slider. Varitek, a switch hitter, and a better hitter from the right side this year. Hit .309 right-handed, and averaged a homer every 13.6 at bats right-handed.
It was interesting. Lilly had struck out 3 straight hitters going with the high fastball. He got 2 strikes on Millar and then threw him a curveball, and he hit a ground ball for a base hit.
There's a fastball to the inside to Varitek, and it's 0-2. So he got maybe a little too clever.
Yeah, I mean, he probably thought, well, they're looking for the high fastball. I'll throw in something else. But if you're successful with it, keep throwing it.
First baseman Hatterberg on the bag with Millar at first. 0-2. There's that high fastball again. No swing there.
Almost, though. He almost got him to go.
First base umpire Jerry Davis rules in favor of Varitek as the Athletics filed an appeal. The middle infielders, Tejada at short, Ellis at second, double play depth. And back to the breaking ball, foul. 1-2.
I think Lilly has established to the Red Sox that he has a good fastball tonight and that he's not afraid to throw it. And that just opens up all of his other pitches for him. You know, he hasn't thrown many changeups, but he does have a curveball, slider, and the change. So, but now he can use any of those pitches because they have to look for a fastball. He has established he'll use it. Therefore, you have to look for the fastball and hit off of that.
1-2 the count. This one could be 2. Tejada boots it. He got ahead of himself and never picked it up. The Red Sox get a huge break.
Well, you know what happened there is I think he was trying to decide whether he was going to flip it. It looked like he was going to flip it to Ellis, and that's probably one of those plays he should have taken himself anyway. He was moving toward the bag, and he probably was just going to have to take one step, touch the bag, and throw it. Now watch this. It's near the bag. Normally the shortstop just takes this himself, but look, he's getting ready to pitch it to Mark Ellis for some reason. See, now watch, he's stopping his momentum because he's going to pitch it to Mark Ellis, and he bobbles it.
Well, that is the first error by the Athletics in this series. Now Gabe Kapler, 2 men on, nobody out again. It was the same scenario that presented itself to the Red Sox in the first inning. Gabe Kapler 0 for 5 in this series, and 3 times he struck out. Kapler hit .291 during the season. Trot Nixon still has that calf problem. If a right-hander had been pitching, though, he likely would have been in there. Curveball to third. This could be 2. There's 1. Chavez to first. Now Lowe throw, and that it is knocked away. Heading for third base is Varitek. He'll make it there. So the Athletics, after 2 sensational games defensively, are looking real ragged here. And they booted 2 consecutive double play balls.
Actually, I thought Chavez had a chance to go tag the bag and maybe retire Varitek at second base. Now watch, the ball's hitting near the bag. If he takes third and just throw to second, but he decides he wants to go the long way, and he throws it in the dirt. Scott Hatterberg does a good job of just blocking it and keeping it in front of him. Now watch, this takes him right to the bag. He takes his time, and he just doesn't get enough on the throw.
Looked like it hit the hip of the onrushing Kapler to bounce away into foul ground, enabling Varitek to move over to third base. So 2 errors by the Athletics here in the second inning. The Red Sox have runners at first and third. Now the 9th place hitter, Damian Jackson, who's getting the start, rather than Todd Walker. And you mentioned in our telecast Thursday from Oakland, Joe, that Grady Little had said he'd already decided before Game 2 that Jackson was going to play tonight rather than Walker. That's in there for a called strike.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the fact that Walker, had a couple of defensive lapses, in the second game. He had already made up his mind.
Now Jackson is not your prototypical Red Sox hitter, right? He's not a guy who's a threat to the wall or a threat to hit a long ball here. He's more of a little ball guy. Well, there's another opportunity here. And he went for the lead runner instead. Varitek, and Varitek is back. He was interfered with. He's going to be allowed to score. Interference on the base pass, obstruction, and Varitek comes in to score. Another Oakland defensive mistake.
Well, what happened there is they let him get too close to the bag. Hernandez ran him back too far. I mean, the key is you always want to run him back towards the bag that he came from, but he lets him get too close before he throws the ball to Chavez. And Chavez fakes him. Now he gives it up, but now he's not sure if someone's going to be there. So, see, right there, throw the ball. That's the problem. You can't run and fake the throws. And they're calling the interference, of course, on Chavez because he couldn't get out of the way. He makes the play. And watch. He's not sure somebody's there. He's telling him, give it to me, give it to me. And he doesn't. And a good job there by Varitek to run into Chavez. I mean, he did that intentionally as well. I mean, it was a good play by Varitek. But Hernandez held the ball too long. And that's why Chavez had to stay there. He wasn't sure somebody was going to be at third base.
Ken Maka out to talk to Ted Lilly, who could be shaking a little bit right now. The Red Sox have a run home, and he's been getting ground balls and pitching beautifully. Meanwhile, let's go down to Gary Miller.
John, you see Ken Maka out there talking to his team. Now, Grady Little said these series, this tight 5-game set is a series of mistakes. So far, they haven't made any. I asked Ken Maka about it before the game, and he said that unraveled us against the Yanks in 2000 and 2001. Well, they seem to all be happening this inning.
So 3 errors in the inning. That is an error charged to Chavez, who was guilty of the obstruction.
But it really wasn't his fault.
And now the batter is Damon. And he changed up on him. It's 0-1.
Chavez was calling for the ball, and Hernandez didn't give it to him soon enough.
The Red Sox, who usually play some wall ball here, have hit 4 ground balls in the infield, 1 for an infield hit, and then 3 errors. Hot fly to left. There is McMillan. And the Oakland outfielder has a better success ratio now than any of the infielders who've handled the ball in this inning. The games 1 and 2 in Oakland. The Red Sox committed 3 errors and could have been charged with more. And then tonight, Oakland with 3 errors in this inning. But the Red Sox, despite all of that, generosity by Oakland with only 1 run home. And here's Nomar. Garciaparra walked his first time. It started when Tejada booted the double play ball hit by Varitek. Then the wild throw and what should have been a double play made by Chavez. He got 1 man out in that play. And then the obstruction play. So here's Garciaparra. On the inside from Lilly, strike 1. I mean, Lilly, if he ends up allowing just 1 run in this inning, it would be pretty impressive, all things considered.
Well, one thing, John, all the errors are on the infield. They've kept the ball on the infield. Like the throw by Chavez, Hatteberg kept it from going down the right field line. So that's why they've only been able to score 1 run. Everything has happened right here on the infield.
And the hard slider. Quickly 0-2 to Garciaparra. Red Sox have a run home, but they have had 6 batters come to the plate with runners in scoring position, and they are 0 for 6 in those at-bats so far tonight. They let a lot of great opportunities go by. And he jammed him with that breaking ball and a pop-up. Ellis, and the wind almost carried it away from him, but he held it. Only the 1 run despite 3 Oakland errors. 1-0 Boston.
Didn't happen. Schmaltz is hurting. He wouldn't shake anybody's hand with his right hand. He went high fives with his left. Yankees and Twins now will be seen Sunday at 4 Eastern on ESPN. John?
All right, and there's ball 1 inside to Mark Ellis from Derek Lowe. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. We're here at Fenway Park. Game 3 of the Red Sox and the Athletics. 1-0. Boston has gone ahead now. As Lowe gets the sinker over for a strike to Ellis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ellis, the 7th place hitter. Lowe has retired the first 6 hitters consecutively, and 5 of them on ground balls. So the early returns on Lowe tonight are very encouraging for the Red Sox fans. And that's a strike on the outside. But unfortunately for Red Sox fans, they're very encouraging for Ted Lilly, who has been supported about as poorly as you could imagine and has allowed only 1 run.
But you take what you can get when you're in a must-win situation.
1-2 the count, and that's low and outside.
You'd like to get 2 or 3, but guess what? 1 puts you ahead, and you only have to win by 1.
Well, the Red Sox will have to hope that that's not the only one.
Right, but you're already ahead. That's the main thing.
And Oakland handed them that run. And Lilly's been pitching real well.
Both of them are throwing the ball well. I mean, and this is what you want from, 2 guys who are put in this situation. Lilly on the road is more difficult, of course, but he has come out throwing the ball very, very well. Lowe, he needs to establish that, he's going to hold him for his teammates, and he's done that so far. He's throwing the ball very well.
Top of the 3rd at Fenway. 1-0 Boston. See Umpire in the high right there. And that is the 7th in a row.
One thing to remember when you're in a rundown and you have the ball, the guy that you're going to throw to, when he calls for it, that's when you give it to him. For instance, here, watch. Now he's telling, give it to me, give it to me. He's telling you right here, throw me the ball. He wants you to throw it because he's got the guy right where he wants him, but you don't throw it, you don't throw it. Now you're running back into the guy. I mean, that's too late. And Chavez gets charged with the error, but it wasn't his mistake.
Curveball is low to Terrence Long.
Well, you see right there, Chavez raised his hand. That means give me the ball. And that's what you do. The guy that's going to receive the ball, he calls for it. He tells you when to throw it to him. And you practice that, in spring training. Of course, it's been a long time since spring training, but that's the way you execute a rundown play. The guy that's going to catch the ball is in charge. And you never fake. You don't sit there and fake the guy if you're the guy running with the ball.
So you have the ball. You really
just hold it up.
You rely on the other guy.
Yeah, and watch when he tells you to give it to him.
I mean, it's almost like you can't really give it to him too early either.
Yeah, well, especially in that situation.
If he asks for it, just give it to him.
Just give it to him. But it was, a good base running play by Veritek. I mean, he made sure that he ran into Chavez when he got back to the bag.
Milan. Number 2, another ground ball. That's 7 ground ball outs out of the 8 outs.
And the other guy was a strikeout. So he is doing exactly what he set out to do. We talked about before the game that he has a 4-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio. And so far he's ahead of that, of course. 7 ground outs.
So 2 down, nobody on. Here is Eric Burns. 1-0. Boston ahead. And that sinker low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Lowe pitched tonight. The Red Sox clinched the wild card berth in the postseason, which was a week ago Thursday. That is a strike on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The only outing that he's had since then was the relief outing Wednesday night. So he's had got more ground ball outs than any other big league pitcher. Versus outs that he got on balls hit in the air. You define a fly ball out as a pop up, a fly ball to the outfield, or even a line drive at somebody. The Fenway faithful going to come to the aid of Derek Lowe. 2 down, nobody on. 1-2. And grounded foul. Burns hanging in there. Burns. 2 hits and 5 at-bats in this series, including a big double that helped the Athletics open up an early advantage in the 2nd inning in Game 2 on Thursday. Might have been the biggest hit of that inning. That one hit very slowly. Miller races in. Clinch! And it's an infield hit for Burns, who runs well.
And the speed of Burns, of course, coupled with a chopper, he's able to beat it out.
So that is the first hit for Oakland, and yet another ground ball.
Well, it's a difficult play. Bill Miller makes it like a second baseman, gets rid of it quickly, but Burns beats it out at first base. With 2 strikes, you see he's back deep, and that's why he couldn't get there any quicker.
McMillan.
If it would have been 1 strike or no strikes, he probably would have been a little closer guarding against the bunt, and he might have had a better chance.
You see there, great call by first base umpire Jerry Davis. Very close play, and he had it right. Back to the bag is Burns. Now this seems like a base stealing spot. I mean, Burns had 10 steals. He was tied for the club lead in that category. 10 steals, only 2 caught stealings. 2 caught stealings, 2 times caught stealing. I'll go with that. McMillan grounded out his first time. And a changeup in there for a strike. I mean, you'd be running right here, wouldn't you? Although, I mean, you haven't played for many, many years, but I mean, you would have been running.
I would have tried, yeah.
I mean, it's 2 outs. You get the leadoff man up.
Yeah. Well, but you still have to pick your spot. You pick your pitches. You don't just take off.
Okay.
We saw last night that Greg Maddux pitched out and caught it running. Well, you definitely should go now, because, I mean, even if you're thrown out, you give McMillan a chance to lead off the next inning. But the Oakland A's do not run a lot. Remember that.
They're not the running A's.
No, they basically wait for the 3-run homer.
Although they ran and made it often when they ran.
There he goes. And
that ball's fouled.
So they do adhere to some traditions.
Well, they stole 48 bases and only got thrown out 14 times.
Well, I think
they pick their spots well.
Yeah, and well, that's what you try to do anyway. Over the course of the season, you try to pick your spots. And when you're in the playoffs, sometimes you do not have a chance to wait to pick your spot. But most teams now do not like to have guys thrown out stealing bases. They'd rather, use those outs in at-bats.
The Red Sox did a little more base stealing than we remember. And they had a pretty good success ratio as well. He's running again. But it's strike 3. McMillan got called out on strike, so
Burns is still running.
He's still going. But it doesn't matter. Strike 3, and the inning is over. Miller, Ramirez, and Ortiz. Big hitters coming up for Boston. They lead by 1.
Water, I need you to hydroplane out of control. Water! Remember, out of control. Cut! No, cut! Cut. Okay, fire the stunt driver.
The new Michelin Hydro Edge with patented hydro chutes. It's our best performing tire in its class. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Red Sox 1, Athletics nothing. Last of the 3rd now from Fenway Park. The big wall on the left has not come into play yet. Mostly we've had a lot of ground balls hit, induced by both pitchers, although for Ted Lilly, when he's gotten ground balls, it has not worked out well for him. Bill Miller struck out his first time with a couple of men on. Now he lays off that one, which was a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the first inning, Damon led off with a double down the left field line, and then Garcia-Parra walked. But Miller, Ramirez, and Ortiz, the next 3 hitters, all struck out against Lilly. 1-0, Boston ahead. A little bloop into shallow center. Ellis out. And in front of Eric Burns, he makes the catch. 1 away.
Let's take a look at those strikeouts you just talked about in the first inning. I'll try to show you why with 2 strikes they swing at it. Well, what happens is you see the ball well when it's up there because your eyesight is there. And that's why you see the ball so well up there. You don't see the ball when it's down, and you'll take that a little bit. But watch this. I mean, you see the ball well there. You don't see it as well down there. And that's why you swing at it. See, it's right up there in your eyes. You can see it, and you think you can hit it, but most of the time you can't catch up with it if it has a little bit of pop on it.
And that's supposed, right? Well, you're supposed to see it and then read it.
And then explode. Yeah. Well, they exploded, but they didn't read it well.
That was our friend Mike Easler.
Yeah. But that's why sinker ball pitchers are so effective, because your eyesight, you're looking at the top of the ball rather than the middle of the ball.
Ramirez, Lilly, and he just got it. Out number 2. So Manny continues to struggle. He has a strikeout now. A ground ball handled by the pitcher, and he is 1 for 10 in this series.
There's 1 for 20.
between the two of them, Ramirez and Ortiz.
And most of those men were left on base by Ramirez, though. You know, because I think Ortiz led off like 7 times. Ramirez made the final out of the inning 7 times during that stretch. So he couldn't have left a lot of them.
Manny came to the plate 9 times in Oakland. Made the final out of an inning 7 times. And then Ortiz led off 7 innings and went 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. He struck out as he made the final out of the first inning in this ball game. 2 down, nobody on. David Ortiz, the former Minnesota Twin. And that's very high for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strikes.
John, I want to finish what this thought I was making, the point I was making. When you throw a sinker ball that Lowe throws, and he keeps it down, you only see the top of the ball, and that's what you're hitting at. When you get a fastball up, you see the middle of the ball, and it allows you a lot more margin for error there. You can really gauge it better.
A pop-up, Miguel Tejada. And that is the inning. So Lilly has his first 1-2-3 inning. 8 pitches. Durazo, Tejada, Chavez. Sox 1, Oakland nothing. We start the 4th inning now from Fenway Park. There's a view from back under the overhang on the left field line. Fenway still has those supporting poles. You can do one of those. He sits behind an obstructed view, which they don't have in the new ballparks.
Yeah, you can lean. You'll be able to see.
I remember sitting in obstructed view seats before. Here's the pitch now to Rubiel Durazo after taking a strike. Now he takes a ball from Derek Lowe. 1 ball, 1 strike. Durazo struck out his first time. Tejada and Chavez to follow. So really Oakland's 3 biggest power hitters are coming up here against Derek Lowe, who's been getting them to hit the ball on the ground throughout the first 3 innings. And the count now 2-1. I mean, when you're facing a guy like Lowe, who's throwing that kind of a sinker, and he's got a good one. I mean, is there a way to adjust to him?
Well, I've always felt that you move closer to him in the batter's box. You move closer to the pitcher. That'll take some of the sink out. It won't get down around your knees as much.
And there's another ground ball. Millar waited for that one and then fed to Lowe covering. Another ground ball out.
Let's take a look at, maybe you'll see what we're talking about here when I say you only see the top of the ball. Watch where the ball's coming. If the ball, that's why you're taught as a pitcher to pitch down, because you're looking down. See, here's the path of the ball. You can only see the top of that ball, and that's why you're hitting the top of it right there. Whereas if the ball gets up, you can see the whole ball, and that's why they teach you as a pitcher to stay down, because it's more difficult to hit when you're only seeing the top of the ball. Whereas if you get it up around the belt and above, you see the entire ball, you see the whole circle, and it's easier to hit that pitch.
And this ball 1-2 Tejada, who hit one back to Lowe his first time. Oakland has 5 left-handed hitters in its batting order in this game. And of the 5, 4 of them have hit ground balls to first baseman Kevin Millar. 2-0 the count now to Tejada. Lowe has not had too many 2-0 counts in this game.
You were talking about doing things, you know, to offset a guy that throws a great sinker or a guy that throws a great curveball or a changeup. That's what you do. You move closer to them. And, you know, you used to see guys like Rod Carew, some of the great hitters of the game. You'd see them move around in the batter's box. They'd move closer. And you see here, you see Tejada all the way back as far as he can go. That allows that sinker to get down, you know, in front by the time you get to it. And if you move forward, it helps you to catch it, take some of the sink out of the ball. A lot of hitters do not like to move around the box, though, you know, and you know, it's an art. And, you know, like I say, Rod Carew, some of the great hitters of the past, they moved up, back, in, out. They moved all around in the batter's box, depending on what the pitcher was throwing.
2-1 the count. And now 2-2 as he pounded that one into the dirt. Well, you know, there's a feeling now in baseball with guys taking batting practice or hitting balls off tees and doing that little soft toss. When you come out to the ballpark, you'll see a net set up sometimes, and a coach will underhand a ball to a guy and he'll hit it into the net. But that does not address, it addresses getting your groove swing.
Yeah.
But not maybe the situational kinds of adjustments that you might make that you're talking about.
Yeah, most of the time when you talk to hitting coaches, they think that situational hitting is more important, obviously, than grooving your swing. But, you know, in this day and age, I mean, guys are always working to groove their swing, and that's just the way it is. But I think that, you know, the pitcher dictates what you do in the batter's box. I mean, if a guy's got a sinker that's running in on you and you're left-handed, just move off the plate a little bit. Make him go away from his strength. Make him try to hit the outside corner.
So how to hit that one hard, but again on the ground and very much foul. It's still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, let me ask you this, though. And you're talking about, you explained about low pitches, and you see only the top of the ball. But if you see a pitch coming in around the knees, and you know this guy sinks the ball, why not just take that pitch?
Well, that's discipline.
I mean, quit swinging at it.
Well, that's the discipline it takes, you know, to handle pitches like that. You have to have that type of discipline.
2-2. That one was up a little bit. Millar, another ground ball to him, and another put out for Derek Lowe.
Well, that's called pitcher's fielding practice in spring training. You hit a ball to the right side, the pitcher goes over, and you toss it to him underhand. And that's what we're seeing here. They're getting PFP. That's 4 times today they've worked on it. And these are the ground outs that Lowe has induced. There's Chavez. I mean, you just ground it. See where the ball is? Everything is down. So you're hitting the top of the ball. Long. I mean, everyone is staying on top of it. He's just throwing great. All the pitches are down. You see they're down in the strike zone.
You know, also seeing there with K-zone and those pitches that they hit in the ground, my theory wouldn't work with Lowe tonight because those pitches are strikes.
They are strikes. But again, I think if you move 3 or 4 inches forward, take some of the sink out.
Well, there at least they got one in the air. It's a pop-up. Damian Jackson backpedaling as the wind carries it. But Chavez retired. He's now 0 for 12 in this series. 1-0 Boston. Oakland trailing 1-0 here at Fenway after sweeping their first 2 games at Oakland. Here is Kevin Millar, the 6th place hitter, got an infield hit in the 2nd inning. And that got something going for the Red Sox as a result of the subsequent Oakland fielding miscues. They made 3 errors in that 2nd inning. And the Red Sox were handed a run. And Ted Lilly working away from Millar. Now the count is 2-0. He hadn't had too many 2-0 counts. He'd thrown first pitch strikes to 10 of the first 14 Red Sox hitters. Jason Varitek is on deck, and then Gabe Kapler due up 3rd. And Varitek chasing that high fastball. 2-1.
So far, Lilly, every time he's wanted to or needed to throw the fastball, he's thrown it up. And you can see this, of course, is out of the strike zone.
And this is Millar still. Varitek's on deck. And now it is 3-1. Millar, the former Florida Marlin, had 25 homers, 96 RBIs in his first year with the Red Sox. 3-1 the count. Varitek on deck. And a pop-up. Ramon Hernandez, and he's going to handle it, and he doesn't. Well, they let the catcher go out there on a windy night. Chavez did not take charge. Lilly didn't do any coaching, and Hernandez could not handle it. Millar is safe.
Well, it appeared that the ball was high enough for him to get some help, but he looked like he was under control. He went out, kept his mask in his hand. I don't know if he was calling it or not. Well, you see, this is a high pop-up. There's plenty of time for someone to get in the help. Chavez is not even in the picture yet, so I guess he felt like he had to try to catch it. And right off the thumb.
Another error. That's the 4th error for Oakland. Here's Varitek. Very high.
A lot of times when the ball goes up like that, the catcher says, help. I mean, he will scream, help, you know, and somebody needs to come help him. But he may have felt like he was going to be able to make the play.
Well, even Ted Lilly, why not have Ted Lilly call him off and make the catch? And that's just off the outside. Now it's 2-0 again. Varitek safe on an error by Tejada, who booted a double play ball. Well, we saw Atlanta commit 4 errors last night at Wrigley Field, which tied a division series record for defensive futility. Now Oakland's made 4. He changed up on him. 2-1.
Let's take another look at it. You see Chavez is just coming in, trotting in, because he thinks that Hernandez has everything under control. But again, you know, a lot of times the catcher will yell help, and then Chavez will know, I got to go get it. They have not worked together well tonight.
Yeah, they were the two who were involved in that obstruction play. Hernandez, who himself actually put Chavez in the way of Jason Varitek, allowing Varitek to score a run when he should have been tagged out. Now that was not a fat pitch on a 3-1 count.
A high fastball.
The two swings and misses here by Varitek were really on pitchers' pitches.
Well, the one thing, you know, Lilly has allowed a lot of base runners to steal bases, so I mean this may be a good time to put a hit and run on just to stay out of the double play. But you also have to make sure you get a strike.
3-2. Nobody out. He's not running. And Varitek gets a pop-up down the right field line. Terrence Long. And that is out number 1. More baseball tomorrow. Division Series action. And if the Red Sox can win this ball game tonight, if necessary, Game 4 right here at Fenway on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 Pacific. The Yankees and Twins all set up 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central at the Metrodome, Game 4. And then the Cubs and Braves, the deciding Game 5 from Turner Field, Cary Wood, my captain. That'll be on Fox, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central tomorrow night. The Florida Marlins clinched the Division Series with a victory over the Giants today. Wild game again in Miami. And the Giants upset by the wild card Marlins. Giants had a great year, but they did not play well in that series. To take nothing away from Florida, I mean, Florida went out and beat them.
Well, I think Florida kept a lot of pressure on the Giants, and then the Giants, whenever they made mistakes, it really cost them.
And then whenever nobody else was getting it done, Pudge Rodriguez seemed to get it done.
Well, he's the man.
He got the final out today at home plate and held onto the ball despite J.T. Snow, a former football player, the son of an NFL player. J.T. Snow clobbered Pudge Rodriguez in desperation, trying to keep the season alive. And he was the possible tying run, and Pudge got knocked over, but there he was holding that baseball. So pretty apropos for Pudge Rodriguez to get the final out in that series.
And it was ironic because they had scored the go-ahead runs on a similar play at the plate where they did knock it out of the catcher's hand.
Well, Victoria Alba unable to hold one in the 8th inning of that game. A ball and 2 strikes here to Gabe Kapler. Kapler hit into a force play his first time. The A's booted 2 double play balls in that second inning, plus the botched up rundown play. And that changeup is Tejada. The second one, Ellis over to first. Change at first. And almost got the double play there, but not quite. Kapler a little bit too quick. Now the ball is loose in the infield, and finally Hernandez goes over to pick it up as Kapler started to head for second before Hernandez retrieved that ball. Oh, we're seeing some weird things in this Oakland infield. You can't even look down and write a note in your scorecard now, Joe. Something's happening here. Just trying to get the ball back to the pitcher. The ball's getting thrown away.
Tejada and Ellis have become a very good DP combination over the course of the season.
Damian Jackson, the hitter, and back to the bag is Kapler. Kapler, 4 steals during the season. Well, and Tejada, there are not many shortstops who are better than Tejada defensively.
No. He's got quickness, great footwork.
2 down. That's Kapler at first. And they pop up in the shallow right. Ellis out, Long in, Long is there. And that is the inning. 1-0 Boston. We head to the 5th inning now. Ramon Hernandez will lead off for Oakland when we return.
It's J.T. Snow rounding third, coming home. Bobby?
Yeah, it could have been a bigger lead and a better jump, but Pudge Rodriguez was fabulous in holding on to this ball. Aurelia got there a little late to signal which way to slide. This is little things that could have made a big difference in this situation, but the difference is the Marlins are advancing and San Francisco's not.
John?
And a liner right back to Lowe from Ramon Hernandez, and he is gone. Lowe with a nice play there. One away.
Well, Lowe gets this sinker up a little bit, but he still jams Hernandez. It's not a hard line drive. You see he had time to raise up and come down with it.
Sometimes you see it when the ball's not hit that hard.
Right.
It'll fool a pitcher.
Well, yeah, because you see it coming back at you. You do not have time to decide whether it's hard or slow.
Curveball for a strike to Scott Hatterberg. Hatterberg grounded out to second his first time. 1 for 9 in this series. One thing Oakland had not hit that well in this series. Came into the game hitting 194, but they've gotten a lot of walks. That's through. Base hit. A ground ball that found a hole, and Oakland gets its second hit of the game. And both of the hits have been on ground balls. Damian Jackson just had to go under his gloves.
Well, you see, I was always thinking that you should, you always would play more up the middle for a sinker ball pitcher because it's going to sink away from the left-hander, and a good left-handed hitter is going to try to go back through the middle. Jackson tries to get there, shows a lot of quickness there, but he couldn't get there in time to make that play.
So Hatterberg is aboard, and here now is Mark Ellis. Ellis grounded out to short his first time. Not hit real hard. They get one. Nomar back to first. Safe at first.
And these guys, I have to give it, these guys really hustling down the line. You like to see that. I mean, they're hitting the ball, not looking to see where it ends up. They're just hustling to get down the line. And you see Nomar and Jackson talking because they don't play together on a daily basis. And, to have perfection on the double play, you need that to happen.
Right fielder.
That's pretty. Everything looks good there.
Terrence Long.
Just good hustle there by Mark Ellis.
Ellis runs pretty well.
Nomar is able to go get the ball and avoid the runner, so I don't know. Look pretty good.
So 2 down now. Here's Terrence Long. And the sinker in there at the knees for a strike. Long grounded out to first his first time. Ground ball after ground ball. Even the hits have been ground balls. One, an infield hit by Burns that he just happened to beat out. I mean, he hit it maybe 55 feet from home plate when it was picked up. Hatterberg with a ground ball that just made it through the middle here. Ellis the runner at first, 2 down. And he goes back to the bag. Ellis, we mentioned, has some speed. Only 6 steals, though, during the season. Terrence Long, who's been a regular for the Athletics. In fact, in all these postseasons they've been in the last 4 years, the first 3 of those postseasons, he was the regular outfielder in all of them. But he lost that job this year. As Bill Miller gets the ball to Jackson at second, forcing Ellis, and the inning is over. 11 ground ball outs in this one. Top of the order now for Boston. Damon, Garcia, Parra, and Miller. It's in a cool New England night. The Red Sox have to win or the season is over. Meanwhile, some of the guys from the dugout trying to get the fans to continue that sarcastic Lilly cheer. See, I can do it. They got me into it. See,
you're not down 2-0 though.
Lou Merlone, Adrian Brown, Andy Abad, Doug Mirabelli. And that hits Johnny Damon, who showed bunt there. And Ken Maka is saying, hey, he bunted at it. But third base umpire Bill Welke ruled no, he did not bunt it that way. So Maka came storming out of the dugout. Lilly talking to Paul Hamill, the plate umpire, about it.
I think Lilly's saying something different. I think Lilly's saying when he squared around the bunt, he moved into the strike zone. That's what Lilly was questioning. Maka, I think, is questioning whether he bunted at it or not. Now watch, his body will come this way. See that? Now look where his foot is. His foot is actually out of the batter's box, and I think that's what Lilly was talking about. And watch it. See, that's out of the batter's box with his left foot. See, the batter's box, there's a line in here, and if you cross it, it's not drawn in, but there's a 6-inch line on the inside part of the plate.
Nomar pops it up foul and back out of play.
And if you step across that line, you're deemed to be out of the batter's box. See, there's a line here, 6-inch on both sides. They just do not draw it, but that's the way the batter's box is supposed to look, see? And if you step across there, in that, you're deemed to be out of the batter's box. And I think that's what Lilly was arguing about.
Well, I mean, his foot was definitely on home plate.
Yeah, so that means he was out of the batter's box. That's what Lilly was arguing about. But very rarely are you ever going to get that call.
Although when the ball actually hit Damon, he was jumping back, and I think he was in the batter's box.
Yeah, you're not going to get the call anyway, because most of the time a guy, when he drag bunts, he's going to step across that line as well. But again, there's no line there now. I mean, there's supposed to be a line there. They erase it once the game starts, but there is a 6-inch line there.
Well, I mean, figuratively.
Yeah, well, there is. I mean, the rules say, the rules say that it's a 6-inch line there. I remember a couple of years ago, Carl Everett had arguments with the umpire because he was too close to the plate, and they drew a 6-inch line there and told him he couldn't step over it, and he stepped over it.
Don't step over that line.
Yeah.
Nomar pops it up. That's foul. Not much room in foul ground at Fenway Park, and that one drops safely in amongst the spectators. I think Hatterberg would have had plenty of room to go catch that one at the Oakland Coliseum. 1-2. This is Fenway Park, the venerable home of the Red Sox. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Gary Miller also here with us tonight. The Athletics have committed 4 errors, and they gave away a run to the Red Sox in the 2nd inning. And they made 3 of those errors. Ted Lilly pitching beautifully, and they are, after being prompted by those Red Sox players in the dugout, those fun-loving Sox in the dugout, doing that Lilly chant. There they are. And when you're behind them, that's what you see.
Eye on the first guy, and then continuing with spelling of Lilly.
Lilly steps off the slab, looking Damon back. Damon can steal a base. He had 30 steals this year and only got thrown out 6 times. Another Red Sox base stealing threat is at the plate right now. Nomar had 19 steals. Nobody out. 1-2. Garcia Parra in a battle here with Lilly. This could be 2. Chavez to second, 1. Ellis to first, 2. Double play.
And that was very nice. It's not easy to start a double play as Chavez did there. That's a long throw, and you have to be very accurate. Now watch how accurate his throw is to second base. He catches this ball 1 step. He doesn't even take the step. He turns and he fires. Look where the ball is. Perfect. Right across the bag. All Ellis has to do is play catch with Hatterberg at first base. So the first throw is always the most important on a double play. Look at that. That's perfect. If he throws that ball anyplace else, Damon would have been able to get on top of Ellis, but he threw it perfectly right across the bag. And that's not an easy play.
Ball 1 to Bill Miller. 2 down, nobody on. Miller has struck out and popped up to second. Mark Ellis accepted that feed and completed the double play. Changed up there again. Well, now early the first 2-3 innings, he's thrown a lot of fastballs. Now we're seeing a few more changeups.
Well, that's smart. That's what you do. You establish the fastball early and show them that you're not afraid to throw the fastball, and then you can work off the fastball for an inning or 2, and then if you stay in the game long enough, you go back to the fastball later.
A ball and a strike to Miller. Manny Ramirez would be next. And a pop foul as he chased that slider and fouled it in amongst the customers off to the right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I can honestly say I've never seen anything quite like that, Joe.
I don't think I have either.
The home players with the name of the visiting pitcher trying to prompt a cheer from the home crowd as Miller strikes out on a fastball, the only one he saw in that at bat. Now on to the 6th inning. Eric Burns will be the first hitter. 1-0 Boston. Headed by a big ovation from the fans in the bleachers. Pedro has decided to cowboy up. He went into Grady Little's office before the game. Grady said, "How you doing?" And Pedro said, "I feel so great. I could start tonight and the Monday game." And of course, Grady said, "Well, thanks very much, but respectfully declined the offer for Pedro to start tonight." But he did say, remember, he threw 130 pitches in game 1 on Wednesday. Grady Little did say, he says, you know, if the Red Sox have a 1 or 2 run lead going to the 9th inning, don't be surprised if you see number 45 come in through the bullpen game. So Pedro could be the closer if they can maintain this lead into the 9th inning. Eric Burns, the hitter, against Derek Lowe. The count now 1 ball, 1 strike. Burns got the first Oakland hit, an infield hit in the 3rd.
Well, remember, I mean, the score is 1-0, but it's not. That's not a safe lead.
That is foul.
Although Derek Lowe is throwing very well, keeping the ball down, doing what he does best. And remember, this Oakland offense is not one of the best in the league.
Well, Oakland won the first 2 games and they hit only 194. They hit only 254 all through the year. But they also had the best pitching in the league. And, I mean, I don't mean all their guys are better than any other team's guys, but they had the best pitching record in the league.
And they have not done anything to hurt that tonight. Ted Lilly's pitched great.
2-2 the count to Eric Burns. Lowe has not gone to a 3-ball count in this game. That ball is past Garcia Parra into left center. And with the big turn at Burns, but Damon hurries the ball back in and holds Burns to a single. And that is the first time in the game that Oakland has gotten a leadoff man on base.
And that's the first time they've hit a ball real hard. That was a line drive. And we'll watch the pitch. He's been getting the ball down. That one's not bad. It's just Burns puts a good swing on it. Hits it too hard for Garcia Parra to make up the ground. Good job by Damon to throw to second base. I mean, to hold him to a single. Billy McMillan will bunt on occasion, although we know the Oakland A's do not use the sacrifice bunt that often.
This could be a hit and run combination too. And Burns does have a lot of speed. He's back to the bag.
Well, they threw to first base more to find out what Billy McMillan was doing than anything else. You do that a lot, and if you make a move, if the guy's going to bunt, he will normally show you something at the plate, like a square around or start to square around.
There goes Burns. And he has it stolen.
Well, the new look A's.
Well, they've been playing little ball, right? I mean, the game 1 they won on a bunt.
That was more Hernandez than the system in the first game, but I think we'll find out here. We'll see if they were going to bunt him to third base. Pretty good jump by Burns. Not a good pitch to throw on. The ball's low and away. And by the time Veritek comes up and throws, he threw a strike, but you can see the jump by Burns was too much to overcome.
McMillan is not bunting. Off the outside. 2-0.
One of the things to remember, you know, if you're the A's, I mean, if you do bunt him over the third, because Derek Lowe throws so many ground balls, it's not a cinch you can get him in. So you want to go ahead and take all your shots right here to drive him in.
The A's only had 22 sacrifice bunts all year. And 9 of those were by Mark Ellis. He had almost half of them all by himself. Just to give you an idea, Oakland's opposition had 55 sacrifice bunts. Oh, man. Changed up there on that one. 2-1 the count. Ball wasn't there anymore when McMillan swung at it. 2 balls and a strike. Derek Lowe, he's given up only 3 hits. Pitched a beauty, hasn't walked anybody. But he has only a 1-run lead. Burns is the first Oakland runner to get to second base. And McMillan moves him up, pulling the ball to the right side. Burns goes over to third on the ground out as Jackson throws out McMillan.
And a good job by McMillan. I mean, instead of just giving the out away, you took a shot at driving him in. And you have to know your players. You know who can get the job done. You know which left-handed hitters can pull the ball, or right-handed hitters who can shoot it the other way.
Well, now here we are at Fenway Park, and we're watching Oakland play some situational baseball here, some little ball. And now the Red Sox at Fenway are bringing the infield in.
Well, you have to play it all the way in my opinion, or play back. That halfway stuff doesn't work well when you have some speed at third base like Eric Burns.
Now, those guys can't be too happy about having to play this close with this big guy up at the plate.
Well, normally you would say that, but with Derek Lowe, if he keeps the ball down, you know, you figure he's going to chop it. He's not going to hit a real hard ground ball at anyone. And that's what he'll be trying to do.
That one just missed on the inside. Durazo has struck out and grounded out to the first baseman. There is the possible tying run. Eric Burns now at third base. He led off with a single, stole second, and was moved to third on the infield out by McMillan. One ball, no strikes. And that's off the outside. 2-0.
Well, Durazo has a very, very good eye. I mean, he very rarely goes out of the strike zone unless it's 2 strikes. You know, although we saw him chase a couple of pitches in game 2 because he was trying to drive someone in.
Durazo, who drove in the tying run in game 1, with 2 down in the last of the 9th inning. In a game that Oakland eventually won. 2-0 the count. Now 3-0. That's the first time that Lowe has gone to a 3-0 count. First time he's gone to a 3-ball count of any kind. Now the man on deck is a right-handed hitter, but he's also one of the great hitters in the league.
Well, let's take a look at the last pitch. This is what Lowe thought was a strike, and K-Zone says it was.
3-0. And now 3-1.
I would think that if you're the Oakland A's, you would let Durazo swing 3-0 there. He may have had the green light. He just didn't want to swing, because you want to get a pitch up right on the edge of the acceptable zone there. You want to pitch up that you can possibly get in the air.
Durazo 0 for 2 tonight and 0 for 7 this year against Derek Lowe. There's Burns, the possible tying run. Third base, 1 out. And the walk.
Well, you know, some people say, well, maybe that's not as bad as it looks, because now you have a double play situation with Tejada. You did get the ground ball from him last time. But the more runners you put on base, the more opportunities they have to score. But this does give them a chance to play back and possibly get a double play and get out of the inning.
Tejada with only 1 hit in the series. 1 hit, 12 at bats. Tonight, he's hit one back to Lowe, and he has grounded out to the first baseman. This frees up the middle infielders to play double play death. Nomar at short, Jackson at second. Millar, the first baseman, now on the bag with Durazo. Although Durazo doesn't seem like a guy who's going to be doing any running. Right? I mean, why?
Yeah, but no, I think that's just the way you set your infield, because he's going to play in anyway. So you're going to play in at the corners, because if the ball's hit to the third baseman and it's chopped, he's going to come home to get Burns. If it's hit to the first baseman, he's going to come home. So you're going to play in anyway. You're not going to play back, you know, at first base, even if you do not think he's going to run, because you're going to position yourself in the same spot anyway.
Red Sox have had several chances to score runs tonight. Only the one, however, has been scored. That's hit very softly, foul on the ground. 2 strikes now to Tejada. Durazo took off on that ground ball and really hustled into second base, but then found out he needed to go back to first. Now the crowd tries to rally behind Red Sox pitcher Derek Lowe. 1-0, Boston ahead. Billy McMillan, who got Burns over to third base with his ground ball, is the only, or had been the only Oakland hitter to bat with a runner in scoring position until Tejada right here. The whole night. This is Oakland's first genuine scoring chance. Hit very softly. Lowe throws home, and that one is going to allow the other runners to move up, as Burns shoved Jason Varitek, and Varitek goes over and tags him out. Burns never tagged the plate. Varitek chased that ball down after Burns shoved him and then ran back after him. Burns was limping after the collision at the plate, and he was tagged out. He does not score. Amazing. The other runners move up to third and to second. Great heads-up baseball there by Varitek.
Well, what surprises me is that he had plenty of time to touch the plate. I mean, even if he was rolling in the ground, he could have rolled back and touched the plate if he didn't touch it. I was watching the throw from Derek Lowe, an ill-advised throw, I might add. Now watch this. This is a base hit. I mean, it's a swinging bunt. Now Varitek's right out in front. He blocks him off. And he does. He blocks him off. Now he goes and gets the ball. Now Burns pushes him. But smart play by Varitek as he goes over and tags him. And a great call by the home plate umpire because he kept his eyes on the play. Now watch here. He does not get to the plate. Great block there. And then he jams his ankle into the ground, and I'm sure the pain kept him from thinking properly here. I mean, just a great block there. And you can block the plate if you're reaching for the ball. There comes the ball. And Varitek knows that he didn't touch it. And Burns is upset because he blocked him off. And he pushes him. I'm not sure that that's not interference anyway.
I mean, it should have been called out just for that.
I mean, you can't just push the guy who's going after the ball.
I mean, he pushed him, which if they called interference, the ball becomes dead, and those runners could have been made to go back. Although there's no argument about it from the Red Sox. I think they're just
happy that he didn't score.
Happy and perhaps even stunned as if a miracle has just happened.
I don't know how they scored it, but I scored that a base hit and an error on the pitcher. I don't know how they scored that.
I think they're having a committee meeting about it. So they walk Chavez intentionally. I mean, that like a gift from heaven for the Red Sox. And let's face it, I mean, it looked like Burns had scored. A wild throw. The runners had advanced. Looked like everything was going to crumble down around the Red Sox. So the bases are loaded now. And here's Ramon Hernandez again with 2 down, just as was the case in the 12th inning late Wednesday night at Oakland when he bunted for the winning run of Game 1 against Derek Lowe. This time he swings away. Big chop. No more. Can't handle it.
Well,
now Tejada was obstructed by the third baseman, but I never saw a call.
Well,
Tejada stopped running, and Tejada has been tagged out. Now Maka's out. Third base coach Washington's out to get into the face of Bill Welke. But Tejada, after he collided with the third baseman, Bill Miller, just stopped running, assuming that interference had been called.
Well, we saw this last year in the Giants postseason play with J.T. Snow.
The umpires are going to discuss it.
Yeah.
One run did score.
Well, actually, last year was Santiago. J.T. Snow, I guess, hit the ball, but Santiago
in the
similar
League Championship
situation.
Series with the Cardinals.
Well, this is interesting.
Ken Maka's right out there. All of the A's believe firmly that Tejada was obstructed from heading home. But then Tejada, I think Tejada might have made a mistake just stopping, assuming that it was called.
But one thing that they've got to discuss here, there was a chopper to the shortstop. The third baseman was going over to take in case there was a throw at third base. He is allowed to go to the bag in case there's a play to be made there. But it's up to them to decide whether he stayed there too long and obstructed the runner. You see the ball that was chopped in the hole, and you could see that Garcia-Parra might have had a play at third base.
Well, I know in that play last year you're talking about with Benito Santiago, you see the play at third there.
See, he's going there to make a play because he thought that if Garcia-Parra makes the play, he might come to third base on that ground ball. And that's what they have to determine.
Last year they ruled no obstruction.
Well, they ruled it last year, I think, because he didn't attempt to score. Tejada did attempt to score and make an out.
He was starting to attempt, and then he stopped.
Yeah, but he was tagged out, whereas last year Santiago wasn't tagged out.
I mean, there was really no play ever made on Santiago last year.
Exactly.
In that Cardinal game you're talking about. The umpires I mean, the thing that you're bringing up that we discovered last year, it's not automatic.
No, it's not.
Play.
No, it isn't.
If there's not an actual play being made on that runner at that base at that time, the umpires have to decide, well, what would have happened? One thing that they told us last year, Steve Palermo told us, was that they might have said, well, if Santiago had gone home, they probably would have thrown him out. We could have ruled that. Yeah. That's in the rule book. Steve Palermo, by the way, an umpire supervisor, is here tonight by the Boston dugout. And he's standing and an extremely interested observer here. The umpires are not having an easy time deciding what to do on this call. But I think Tejada didn't help himself when he stopped running.
Look, I definitely understand what Ken Maka is saying and why he's so upset. Because he figures Tejada would have scored.
Well, obviously, Maka is not hearing from the umpires what he's hoping to hear. That Tejada should score. Ramon Hernandez is out there. He's being held off by Ron Washington, the third base coach. Chavez is out there talking to one of the umpires. Terry Francona, now wearing the warm-up jacket, has come out to try and get Hernandez away.
Well, being honest with you, the players should move away and let Maka do it.
Chavez is with one group of umpires, as is Rubio Durazo and Ron Washington.
And I think they're trying to explain why they're interpreting the rule the way that they are. And it is basically a judgment call. And it's not one that you probably can appeal either.
But you know,
or play the game under protest.
Everybody in this game has always been taught, if you run into a fielder like that, that you're going to get the next base.
Well, it's not, again, it's not a cut and dried situation. It's not like the obstruction we saw earlier with Chavez, who obstructed him, impeded him getting back to the bag. What they're saying is he rounded the bag and ran into Miller. But the only thing I can think that reason they're not calling is because Miller was going to third in hopes of a play from Garcia-Parra.
Well, Maka has not gotten the word he wanted. And on that very unlikely play, this inning has ended. One run did score to tie the game. And apparently Tejada is out, having been tagged out. The game is tied. Let's go to Gary Miller.
John, talking to umpiring official Steve Palermo, and he feels like it should have been obstruction on that play, but apparently the conference there, the conference of umpires, wasn't enough to overrule it, and we'll have to see if they play this game under protest. Steve said it seems similar to the play in San Francisco last year during the postseason.
You can't protest a judgment call. You can only protest a rule infraction.
So, on one of the more bizarre plays, you'll see the base hit bouncing past Garcia-Parra, and then Tejada, who was being waved home by Washington, running into Bill Miller, and then as the throw came in, he stopped, feeling sure that obstruction was going to be called, but then he was tagged out. That's the play that stands.
Now this.
Red Sox 1-1 in what has turned into a very bizarre game at Fenway. Ramirez fouling one off the right field line against Ted Lilly. And you know, I don't know if you remember the play last year at Pacific Bell Park in San Francisco. Benito Santiago was going to third, but it seemed like he might well stop at third base. The throw from right field went to the plate. Santiago ran into the infielder, and it was ruled that it was not an obstruction. And the key was that Benito, they didn't feel really was being waved home. He wasn't intending even to go to the plate, so that he was not obstructed from doing something that he had intended to do. But it seemed clear here that Tejada intended to go home. He was being waved home.
The only thing I think they could interpret this as is that he was going to third to take a throw from Garcia-Parra, because Garcia-Parra, if he'd have backhanded the ball, that would have been the easiest play, throwing to third base. So Miller does have a right to go there if a play is going to be made there. And that's the only thing I think they can interpret it as. And remember, you cannot protest, you know, a judgment call. You can only protest an interpretation of the rules.
ball and 2 strikes to Ramirez, who's 0 for 2 in this game and 1 for 10 in the series. So on that ball by Hernandez, by the way, the official score ruled an error to Nomar Garciaparra, not a base hit for Hernandez.
Well, that actually protects the umpires because if that means he should have caught the ball, he was going to throw to third base, maybe to get Tejada, and that does help the umpire's judgment there.
Racing in, Tejada. A high throw, but up to get it is Hatterberg. And for Manny Ramirez, the misery goes on. Commissioner Bud Selig, you saw, is here tonight, and both the commissioner and Steve Palermo were on the phone at the same time, perhaps to each other here.
Well, I'm sure Palermo's given his interpretation of what he saw happen, but there's nothing that the commissioner can do on a play like that. Again, if you can't protest it. In their judgment, you know, the judgment of the umpires, he did not obstruct me.
And then they hung up simultaneously, so we're guessing they were talking to each other. Here's David Ortiz, Boston slugger. He had 28 homers in the last 78 games of the season. But in this series, he is 0 for 11, 3 strikeouts. He struck out once tonight and popped up once. 1-1 the score. And Lilly gets the slider by him. 0-2 the count. You know, the other play in that inning, the weird play where Eric Burns ended up being out at the plate on what looked like a disaster for the Red Sox. That was not a hit for Tejada.
But it should have been.
But no, actually, when you think about the rationale behind it,
it was because he was out.
Well, a little ground ball. They made a play at the runner at the plate, and he didn't score. They got him out.
Yeah, but that's like if a guy runs around second and misses the bag, you're still out. I mean, you're still, you know.
Well, they threw home to get the guy, and they got him. I mean, at the same place, right? Not on a succeeding base.
No, good point.
That is Burns in center. Burns, who limped off the field after being tagged out, not apparently realizing that he had not tagged home plate. But he seems to be all right. He's back out there in the outfield. As Ortiz is gone for out number 2. So the big Red Sox sluggers, Ramirez and Ortiz, continue to be shut down. Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight. Ortiz 0 for 3. And the two of them are combined 1 for 23 in the series. Here is Millar. He's had an infield hit and has been safe on an error by the catcher. And he takes one in the dirt for ball 1. But when you were a young player, Joe,
I can't remember that far back.
Wouldn't you have expected if you'd run into an infielder like that heading home that you would have been awarded home plate? And
yeah,
that's Lowe.
I mean, I'm going to agree with you in a way because it appeared to me that he was going to score. But if they were going to make a play at third base, Miller had a right to go over there because it was a force out. And if Garciaparra goes in the hole to get the ball and forces a guy at third, that's part of the game. And they obviously are assuming. Now watch this. Now he's going there for Garciaparra to throw to third base. And if he catches it, that might have been his only play. But
if Nomar had caught that grounder, that I believe would have been his only play.
Yeah, it would have been his only play. So, and they saw that too. So maybe that's what they're basing their judgment on. If Miller didn't go there to block Tejada, he went there expecting to throw. Now it's a matter of interpretation whether he should have moved after he didn't get the throw. So I mean that's interpretation of what they saw.
Well, here's the 3-1 pitch now to Millar, and he gets a walk from Lilly. A 2-out walk here in the 6th inning. Keeps the inning going for Jason Varitek, the powerful catcher.
Well, the one thing you have to start to look at, I mean, Lilly has basically been around a 6th inning pitcher, and you have to start to wonder how much longer he's going to go. Derek Lowe, I think, can throw longer because he's basically a sinker ball pitcher. And when they get tired, the ball's going to sink.
Well, last year, when Benito Santiago ran into the Cardinals' third baseman in the League Championship Series in the National League, Steve Palermo said that the reason that he was not awarded home plate, as Varitek fouls it, was that the umpires had to decide what would have happened if Santiago had not collided with the infielder. And in that case, they decided, well, he would not have scored, so we're just going to keep him at third as if the collision had not occurred. Now here, you could make a case that Tejada would have been thrown out at the plate. Right? I mean, that could be another interpretation. That if they're charged with deciding what would have happened, they might have decided, well, he would have been out at the plate. I mean, how they could decide that, I'm not exactly sure.
Well, again, we'll have to wait and see their interpretation of why they ruled the way that they did.
But it seemed like the difference is they weren't making a play on Santiago necessarily last year. And clearly they were making a play on Tejada here. Chavez was playing him on the line. It's a high throw, but Hatterberg gets the foot bat of the bag, and the inning is over. We're heading to the 7th inning now. Hatterberg will be coming up. 1-1. Boston won. We go to the 7th inning at Fenway Park in what has been a bizarre ball game here at Fenway. I mean, Oakland committing 4 errors, giving away a run. Boston was charged with a couple of errors in that 6th inning. And Oakland fans, I'm sure, feel that the umpires have made a very serious error. For Oakland, here is Scott Hatterberg against Derek Lowe. Lowe's 80th pitch of the night is a called strike. Hatterberg has grounded out and singled, 1 for 2. There have been more errors in this game than hits. Oakland with 4 errors, Boston with 2. There have been 5 hits altogether. Boston has only 2 of those. And that's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ellis and Long will follow. Well, the umpires certainly don't want to be the ones who end up deciding a ball game. But they're on the hot seat right now. And they did. I mean, they got together. They all got together and talked it over.
And that's the main thing. I mean, they got together, so they all agree that they made the right call.
Millar to Lowe, and one away. Millar and Lowe have been a beautiful partnership there. That is the 5th such exchange between the two. Millar to Lowe covering.
Second baseman, number 14.
Now Mark Ellis, hitting 7th of the order. You know, I'm glad that I didn't pursue that, my dream of becoming a big league umpire. 1 down. Here's Mark Ellis. He's grounded out to short and grounded into a force out. I mean, we saw some. I mean, have you ever seen plays like this before?
Well, you know what I saw there, the third base umpire, Bill Welke. I thought, and then I watched him. You know, when the play first happened, he didn't raise his hands to stop the play. You know what I mean? So
because the ball would be dead.
Exactly. He did not do that. He kind of pointed to say that he saw, and he didn't stop it. So, you know, again, I mean, I think they're the only ones that know why they called it. I've given a couple of reasons why I think they did, but I'm not sure. I wasn't in that huddle.
Too low. 2-1.
Now watch the umpire here. He doesn't raise his hands to stop the play. He acknowledges that there was contact here, but he does not raise his hands to stop the play. Now he looks for the ball.
That's foul into the seats down the left field line. 2-2. Well, Ken Maka, he just can't believe it.
And I understand Ken's point because, you know, it just depends on why they did it. And I'm sure they gave him an explanation, but obviously he didn't want to hear it.
He heard it, and yet he wasn't buying it, that's for sure. He heard it, but maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, I'm sure in his mind, when the collision was made, it's clear cut. The run scores. Miller ends up deflecting it away from Nomar, and Ellis is safe at first. For another ground ball, it becomes a hit for the Athletic, unless they're going to charge an error on that one. I mean, I was shocked that they called an error on Tejada's ground ball.
Me too, and Nomar especially. Off the glove of a diving Bill Miller and bounces away from Nomar.
So Ellis is aboard. Oakland's 4th hit. 2 of them have been infield hits. Terrence Long. I mean, the rules discussion about the obstruction that turned out not to be sort of overshadows the previous extraordinarily bizarre play involving Eric Burns and Jason Varitek.
Well, actually, I looked back and I looked at my scorebook. The bases were loaded when Tejada hit the ball. So in theory, it should be a fielder's choice because he didn't touch the plate, because he had to run. See, if he didn't have to run, then it should be a base hit. But since he had to run.
That's a base hit for Terrence Long. Ellis will go to second and hold there. The ball fielded in shallow right by Kapler.
And Kapler was the one guy out there that has a very good arm.
So Eric Burns will be coming up now.
Well, this is one of the reasons Terrence Long was in there. He's a good low ball hitter, and he's had some success against Derek Lowe. Ground ball in the hole for a base hit.
Two men on, one man out. And Burns the hitter. And Burns has had 2 hits in this game. Fouling it off his left foot or left leg. Burns also has a steal. And we also thought that he had scored a run, but it turned out he never did. And that was the other weird thing. After he had the collision at the plate, thinking he had scored, but first he shoved Varitek out of the way as Varitek was going after the ball. So a ball game that's resembled sometimes, the WWF out there. Burns fouls one again. 0-2 the count.
Now here's the play on Burns.
I mean, that was a disaster for the Red Sox, right?
Until Burns pushed him.
But wait a minute, Varitek, you're out. Never tagged the plate. Forgot. I mean, the thing he didn't forget to do is go over and shove Varitek, but he forgot to tag the plate. Varitek knew. He chased the ball all the way to the backstop and then ran over and tagged him. 2 strikes the count. That is foul. The Boston bullpen is busy, by the way, as Lowe is in a jam here in the 7th inning in a 1-1 game. Embry, the left-hander, Timlin, the right-hander, warming up in the Boston bullpen. Pedro Martinez is in the bullpen tonight. He could be the closer if they've got a 1- or 2-run lead going to the 9th. That's what Greg Level said could happen before the game. Eric Burns. There goes Ellis from second. Miller, who was covering the bag, cannot get to that grounder, and the bases are loaded.
And the running A's are doing their thing. I mean, the fact that they were stealing that base a lot, made that a base hit.
Miller had to break to cover third, and right there is where Burns hit that ball, and Miller could not get back to it.
So this is a different A's team than we've seen in the playoffs in the past. I mean, they're putting runners in motion. They're moving runners along. I mean, this is the way you have to play in the postseason. You have to make things happen. I mean, they're playing playoff baseball right now.
Now Dave Wallace, the interim pitching coach, with Tony Coninger battling cancer this year. So Wallace out to speak to Lowe and the infielders. The bases are loaded with 1 out. The last time the bases were loaded, Ramon Hernandez hit that bouncer into left field. And we ended up having huge arguments, umpires, discussions. And the A's thought they were cheated out of a run. So here's McMillan. Not only would they have had the second run, but they would have had Scott Hatterberg coming up with runners on the bases, is the way they're looking at it. But not only was Tejada not allowed to score, he was called out. The inning was over. So here's McMillan, 0 for 3. The middle infielders double play depth. Now McMillan, you talked about this earlier, Joe. I mean, he can bunt, right? Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the A's playing little ball out here.
I don't think they'll squeeze with the bases loaded, but also it's going to be very difficult to double him up. He runs well.
They're pulled in at third base and first base. looking for the double play ball at short and second. Liner right to the second baseman Jackson. No chance to double up long at second, who hurried back to the bag.
I have to tell you, the A's are having a lot of bad luck. How many line drives do you see hit off of Derek Lowe? You get more ground balls. And like I said, it's going to be very difficult to double up McMillan because he runs so well. So what does he do? He hits a line drive on a ball off the plate outside. He hits a line drive, and no one can advance. I mean, the A's are having a tough time here. I mean, you figure with Derek Lowe, you're going to get a ground ball, and again, it's going to be very difficult to double up McMillan.
In the first 5 innings, only 2 Oakland base runners against Lowe. In the last 1 2/3 innings, 7 Oakland base runners. They've got 3 of them out there right now with 2 down. And here's the big slugger Durazo. That's a strike at the knees. He has struck out, grounded out, and walked and scored a run. He was the run that, or his was the run that scored before all of the arguing in the 6th inning.
And the fans are really getting into it. They're not waiting till there's 2 strikes.
1-1. Strike 2.
Man, that was a good pitch.
I mean, Lowe might be pitching for the season right here. They had the bases loaded, 1 out, and the top of the order up. They got McMillan on a liner right at Damian Jackson. And now Durazo, who's driven in big runs in this series, at the plate with the bases still loaded. 2 down. 1-1. No room for any kind of error or even for a hit as far as the Red Sox are concerned. 0-2.
Well, he threw a fastball on the inside corner for a strike. Then he threw a beautiful pitch that started on the outside and moved away. Now he comes back in to see if he goes away again. If you're Derek Lowe, this has to be your best sinker that you could throw right here. And try to get the ball down, and hopefully you get him to chase something.
Tejada would be next.
That's the best sinker he
into
could throw.
center, but right to Damon. So Lowe gets through it. The Red Sox are still breathing. Now, is there any offense to be had for the Red Sox, who have been shut down even at Fenway tonight? Still 1-1. To the last of the 7th we go. In favor of the Athletics, we have Gary Miller downstairs with umpiring supervisor Steve Palermo. We're going to go down there when we have an opportunity here. As Gabe Kapler takes a called strike from Ted Lilly. Lilly, meanwhile, has not allowed a Red Sox hit since the 2nd inning when Kevin Millar had an infield hit. Kapler takes low. Kapler's hit into 2 force-outs in this game. He is 0 for 2. Damian Jackson, the 9th place hitter on deck, then leadoff man Johnny Damon. 1-1.
Lilly has pitched great. I mean, he's pitched around 4 errors, yet he's still, in a tie ball game, so he has pitched great.
Too high. 2-1.
And you don't expect someone to come into Boston and shut down the Red Sox here at Fenway Park. At least I didn't expect it.
It's not often been done.
And he has pitched a fantastic game.
A pop-up. Second baseman, Ellis. And he handles the win for the out. Now let's go to Gary Miller.
All right, John, one of the most bizarre plays in postseason history. I'm sitting with Steve Palermo. You likened it to last year's play with Benito Santiago in San Francisco. As a supervisor, what's your interpretation of what happened on the field, and do you agree with the ruling?
Well, first of all, yes, I do agree with the ruling. What took place was Tejada had rounded third base, and now obstruction was committed by the third baseman. And and Bill Welke, the third base umpire, judged that there was obstruction. He pointed, he signaled it out, and he hollered. But there's no play being made on an obstructed runner. So now it is up to the determination of the umpire, because the runner is still in peril. And if a play is being made on him, the runner is in peril to be put out. And it is the judgment of the umpire. Would he have scored had no obstruction occurred? And in this case, Bill Welke determined that Miguel Tejada would not have scored had there been no obstruction. And it's Rule 706B in the rule book.
What do you think the discussion was, Steve, with them all in there for quite a discussion, and what was Maka's interpretation?
Well, the umpires want to make sure, and what we do is before the game we had talked about 12 eyes, and what we want is all 12 eyes to make sure that whatever they observe, that they get those 6 minds together and they come up with the best possible ruling. And if you'll notice that Sandy Alderson has implemented something that is very, very crucial to umpiring now, and has to get together and make a determination after you get all of the judgments of the umpires that are involved to make that judgment and get the play right. And that's exactly what these umpires did.
So the mistake Tejada made was pointing back at the play instead of continuing it and then protesting later.
Exactly. And, you know, Miguel Tejada might not know the entire rule. And it's a difficult rule to understand. And, you know, you understand the natural reaction of a player, but that is the rule. And the way that the rule was applied in this case, it was to the letter of the law. And these guys made the right judgment on it.
Are we correct in assuming you were on the cell phone with Bud Selig?
Which time?
One of those times?
Yeah, the commissioner called down, and the commissioner knows baseball very, very well. And he understands the rules very well also. And he just wanted to get it clarified so that we were both on the same page. And he knew. I thought he was going to recite the rule to me.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. John, back to you.
All right, Gary. So Miguel Tejada apparently should have continued on to home plate. And as it was, he was tagged out, and that their ruling is the end of it. But obstruction was not immediately ruled. In other words, if it had been, the ball becomes dead at that moment. But obstruction was never actually ruled where play was stopped and the ball was dead. Had that been the ruling, then Tejada likely would have been waved home to score. Rule 7.06b, when the ball is not dead on obstruction, and an obstructed runner advances beyond the base, which, in the umpire's judgment, he would have been awarded. Because of being obstructed, he does so at his own peril and may be tagged out. This is a judgment call. Damon, and he is thrown out by Ellis. And the Red Sox, if anything, have been shut down even more impressively by Lilly than they were by Zito in Oakland.
ESPN2's presentation of the 2003 MLB Division Series, brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
John Miller, Joe Morgan, Gary Miller here at Fenway Park. It is 1-1 as we go to the 8th inning. Now remember, Derek Lowe on Wednesday night threw 42 pitches, working the 11th and 12th innings, as he took the loss in that game. And although he thought it was a positive, that's what he said afterward. Well, here's Mike Timlin on in relief of him. And although Lowe, through the first 5 innings, was almost untouchable by the Athletics, Joe, in his last 2 innings, things were very perilous, for sure.
Well, the last pitch, I said, you know, he should throw the best sinker he could possibly throw. Well, he did that, but Rubio Durazo still hit a line drive to center field. I mean, I thought it was a great pitch by Lowe. Let's take a look at this last pitch. Remember, there's 2 strikes on him. Look at that. I mean, you don't get any better than that. It's down below and just really sinking. And Durazo hit a line drive to center field, but right at the center fielder. So that was the last pitch of the ball game for Derek Lowe tonight.
So here is the 37-year-old veteran, Mike Timlin, who's been in a couple of World Series many years ago with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's going to face the Oakland Power. Miguel Tejada leads off. Tejada 0 for 3 officially in this game. And that is Kepley. 1 away. One down, and now Chavez. Derek Lowe went 7 innings. He threw 100 pitches and gave up 1 run that was scored as unearned because of the error that was charged to Nomar Garcia-Parra on what looked to be like a base hit for Miguel Tejada. Pedro's out there in the bullpen, but will they have a lead going to the 9th inning for him to try and protect? Chavez takes ball 1. He is 0 for 2. He's grounded to first, popped to second, and been walked intentionally. Ramon Hernandez on deck. Boston with 6 hits in the game. Or rather, the the Athletics with 6 hits in the game. Boston has only 2 hits against Ted Lilly. What a performance by Lilly. And that's a foul back out of play. I'll tell you what, I mean, it's pretty astounding. The Red Sox and your pitching had shut down the Athletics to this extent. You'd figure they would have won a game or 2 by now.
Good point. But again, I mean, you never expected Lilly to shut down the Red Sox here in this ballpark.
Nice line of misses.
But they have not been hitting fly balls toward the monster in left field.
Well, you know, I mean, the Red Sox, it wasn't like they expected. It was almost as if they knew.
Right, exactly.
That back here at home, that they'd be peppering that wall and filling Fenway with base hits. But they've had only 2 hits, one of those an infield hit. And none since the 2nd inning. And what a grab there by Timlin, leaping high in the air to snare it. Chavez is out number 2. Chavez now 0 for 13 in this series.
And that was a magnificent play by Timlin. I mean, he was in good fielding position. It's the only reason he's able to make it. See, he stays right there in the middle of the mound. A lot of guys fall off left or right. He's right down the middle, right there. Now he recoils and comes up with it. Nice play.
Got a pretty good vertical leap there.
Yeah.
2 down here is Ramon Hernandez.
Power pitchers usually fall off to the first base side, and that's why they're not in good fielding position. Guys that throw a lot of breaking balls and sinkers usually stay right there.
Well, that 94-mile-an-hour fastball called a strike, so that's power. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, had some
giddy up on it. 0-1 the count to Hernandez. Just missing on the outside.
Reaching back, getting a little bit now. I mean, he usually throws a good heavy sinker. He's throwing some gas.
There's Chad Bradford, the submariner in the Oakland bullpen. Boston will have big hitters due up in the last half of this inning. Garcia Parra, Miller, Ramirez. And he challenged him up and in there, and Hernandez fouled it straight back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 down, nobody on in the 8th inning. The big crowd at Fenway. In this do-or-die game for the Red Sox. They must win, or we'll see you next spring. 1-1 in the 8th. Went back in a hurry as Kepler into right center. He's there, and he makes the catch. Now, it'll be Nomar. Then Bill Miller and Manny Ramirez. Ortiz due up 4th. Boston in a 1-1. Martinez has started to warm up in the Boston bullpen. Whether he's warming up to come on in the 9th inning under any circumstances, or if the Red Sox get a lead, we do not know, but he is getting ready. Meanwhile, Oakland has gone to its bullpen. Ted Lilly, who pitched a masterpiece. 7 innings at Fenway, only 2 hits allowed to this Red Sox offensive juggernaut, and that's what they were in this ballpark. They averaged 6.6 runs a game at Fenway this year. So here is Bradford, who had an excellent year. Bradford, the submariner, to face Nomar Garcia Parra.
And he smart play. I looked up, I saw Chavez was very deep at third base. And, you know, you're at the point now we have to try to score a run. The longer this goes, the more pressure builds on Boston, because, you know, they can be eliminated with 1 mistake or 1 swing in the back. So you have to try to get ahead. Chavez was back here to start with.
Chavez gets to it. Now the throw, and Nomar is saying that the ball hit him first. But now the plate umpire, Nomar did not run immediately.
Well, you know what? Let's see if they're calling no pitch here. Let's see if that's a no pitch. I mean, I didn't see a signal. All right, yeah. I mean, he didn't. All right, what happens is sometimes Bradford, he starts in a stretch position and he doesn't go to a stretch. He just throws the ball to the plate.
Oh.
And so that might have been called no pitch. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what happened here.
Well, we saw this when we did that game with Seattle.
Well, let's see here.
2 weeks ago.
Well, did it hit him? I mean,
it did not hit him.
Well, he said, well, he called one strike. He called one, and that's the only thing I can think of is that they call no pitch because Bradford sometimes he stands in a stretch position, but he doesn't go to a stretch. He just throws the ball. See, like right there, he just comes up and throws it without, now he goes to a stretch position right there. And that's what you're supposed to do.
So the count now is officially 1 ball, 1 strike. This is the previous pitch, Joe.
See, he did not come to a stretch position. You're in a stretch position and you do not stop. And they called no pitch.
And we saw the same thing happen.
And that's what he's doing now. That's why he's stopping now.
Hit very slowly. Chavez barehanded and he juggles it. So Nomar got a second life after apparently grounding out to Chavez. He went back to the plate, and this time he beats it out. It will be scored as a hit.
And it's interesting because, you know, when you sit in a stretch position, you do not come to a set position and throw it. That's like a quick pitch, and that's what they called the pitch before. That's a tough play.
I mean, Nomar runs well.
Yeah. But it's still such a tough play to barehand that ball. I mean, I just think maybe catch it and try to get rid of it like a second baseman again.
Now Bill Miller, nobody out, runner at first. Nomar stole 19 bases this year, caught 5 times.
And it's obvious that you have a chance to steal a run with Bradford because he comes from a set position, then he has to drop down before he releases the ball. Bill Miller's a good hit and run guy. So, I mean, you have a lot of options here if you're Grady.
And Miller's batting left-handed now, and he hit .369 batting left-handed in this ballpark. Chavez pulled in at third, and a strike on the outside. Ricardo Rincon, the left-hander, is now up in the Oakland bullpen. You get Miller, the switcher, at the plate, then the right-handed batting Manny Ramirez on deck. And after Ramirez, the left-handed slugger, David Ortiz. There's Ramirez. Will be next. Big hole on the right side of the Oakland infield with Hatterberg on the bag holding against Garcia-Parra. There he goes. Miller rolls it to the right side. That moves Nomar along.
Well, they got the job done. They moved him over into scoring position.
And now Ramirez, who's been shut down for most of this series, and especially in spots like this, where he's got a chance to drive in a run.
And they're standing. The Boston crowd is doing all they can to help these Red Sox win this ball game. They're standing for Manny. A lot of places they would be booing because he hasn't driven any runs, but they're standing.
He's had 1 hit and 11 at-bats in this series. They're chanting his name. Garcia-Parra, who runs well, the possible go-ahead run at second base. Pedro Martinez is warming up in the Boston bullpen. Will they have a lead for Pedro to try and protect in the 9th? That's the question. 1-1.
And you would probably think about walking Manny if it wasn't for the unorthodox pitching motion of Bradford and the fact that Manny has struggled a little bit in this series. Well, not a little bit. He's been struggling.
Well, and he's had only 1 hit in 11 lifetime at-bats against Bradford. And Bradford's handled it.
Yeah, and you have a left-handed hitter on deck, but they also have Rincon loose in mid-10, so they could bring in for him. But this is the matchup that Ken Maka wants right now.
Laid off that one as it ran in toward the belt buckle. 1 ball, 1 strike. Derek Lowe with his sweatshirt on in the dugout. now out of the game. Red Sox, no hits in 7 at-bats with runners in scoring position tonight, because they only have 2 hits at all. Or now 3 on the infield hit by Garcia Park. 2 of those 3 hits have been infield hits. A ball and a strike. 2-1.
And if you're Bradford, you have to think, I'm going to make my pitch and continue to make it. If I miss, I miss. But I'm not going to give in and throw a strike just to keep from walking it.
The Athletics with a huge advantage in this series now, needing only 1 win more. Boston trying to stay alive. We're in the 8th.
Another good pitch. See that? He's not going to give in. He's not going to get anything out over the plate. That ball's tailing back into Manning. And it's hard to lay off when a guy drops down a little bit or throws underneath. When the ball starts inside, you want to hit it. And that ball just keeps chasing Manning. And it's pretty much 2 perfect pitches he's thrown him on these 2 strikes.
And he's gone inside with everything. Does he set him up for a slider away here?
Well, he set him up for a lot of things, but you have to make the pitch.
2-2 to Manny Ramirez. One of the great RBI men in the game for many years.
And you see the catcher Hernandez looking up to see if Manny's peeking back there. And peeking by that, I mean to see if he's leaning inside, because if it's inside, he knows it has to be a fastball. And if he's away, he can, he can throw a breaking ball. If he sits inside, he's got to throw a fastball. He's not going to throw a breaking ball inside.
2-2 to Manny Ramirez. Garcia Parra got that infield hit, is at second. There he is, number 5. And he struck him out.
Same pitch. 3 pitches running back in, tailing back in on Manny.
Wow. He is now 1 for 12 in this series.
Number 34,
He threw 3 pitches, very similar spot, and that's perfect pitching to Manny.
Well, that enables them to walk Ortiz intentionally. And you've got the right-handed batting Kevin Millar up next. I mean, that just worked out beautifully for Ken Maka, because they can just put Ortiz on. And even if Grady Little pinch hit with a left-handed hitter for Millar, he's got the lefty Rincon ready in the bullpen to counter that move. Millar, who's never had a hit against Chad Bradford.
And really, it's not unusual, for a guy not to have a hit against Bradford, because they do not face him that much. You face him maybe once or twice the entire year.
Cowboy up, they're chanting at Fenway Park. Ballpark in which baseball is being played for the 92nd year, and I believe that might be one of the first times we've ever heard Cowboy up chanted at Fenway Park. Between innings, they had the rally karaoke guy video up on the Jumbotron, and that's Kevin Millar back when he was in college. A video was made one night of Millar at a party. Some old friend of his sent it to the Red Sox back in August, and they played it late in one ball game, and the Red Sox rallied and came back for a win that night.
Well, they've got a lot going on here tonight in Boston.
So that was their answer to the Anaheim Rally Monkey. They had the rally karaoke guy here at Fenway. And here is the later, more mature version of the rally karaoke guy, Kevin Millar. 2 men on, 2 men out. Foul. Millar 0 for 4 lifetime against Bradford. In this game, he's had an infield hit. Been safe on the dropped pop-up by Ramon Hernandez, the catcher, and he has walked. So he's been on base 3 times. The 4-5-6 hit is the heart of the order in this series, with 3 hits in 27 at-bats. Millar's been the hot hitter of that trio. On the outside for a strike. And it is 0-2 now to Kevin Millar.
And that was a good pitch because Millar was watching the way he pitched Manny. In. First pitch he threw, Millar was in, and he pulled it foul. He was ready for it. So what does Bradford do? He goes outside corner. Pedro's still throwing. I don't know if they're going to use him if he goes ahead or if they're going to use him whether they go ahead or not. I'm not sure if you're not going to use him at all, you may be wasting him. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. Grady will make that decision.
Both runners ready to go in anything, and that's the pitch that Manny just had a hard time laying off right there. Millar took it.
And again, it's tough to lay off because it's coming towards you, and you say, well, I can get to it. But it just continues to tail in on you.
35,406 at Fenway. The largest crowd in the last 13 years. The largest official paid attendance at Fenway in the last 13 years. 2 on, 2 out. 1-1 the score. Millar trying to cowboy up. But it is Bradford who gets him.
Same pitch.
The Red Sox, again, unable to get that big hit. 8 men stranded for Boston tonight. On to the 9th inning. Still 1-1. A slender thread. It is 1-1 as we go to the 9th. And the overhead views of Fenway tonight brought to you courtesy of the Hood Lightship. H.P. Hood supports children's hospitals throughout New England in partnership with the Boston Red Sox. And we're very pleased to have them with us tonight as part of our telecast from Fenway Park. October baseball, and the Red Sox are trying to ensure that there will be more of same. They've got to win tonight to do it. Oakland, well, they don't want to have a game 5. They've had games 5 in 3 consecutive postseasons and haven't won one yet.
Well, they don't even want to have a game 4.
They want to just wrap it up right now.
Yeah.
Scott Hatterberg, the hitter, facing Mike Timlin. Pedro has taken a seat back in the bullpen, so they're only going to use Pedro apparently if they can get the lead. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hatterberg. He has grounded a second, singled, and grounded a first. Derek Lowe went 7 innings, gave up 1 run and 6 hits tonight. Back to Timlin. And he got that one down. The second one, he's jumped up the snare.
Let's take a look at Ramirez's last at bat, and I explained to you what Bradford was doing. The ball is coming in. You see, that pitch is off the plate inside. Off the plate inside. Manny knows he's pitching him in. Off the plate inside again. Now watch. Again, off the plate inside. And the final one, off the plate inside. So that ball is just chasing him. He might look like it starts on the inside corner, but it continues to pour in on him, and he was swinging over the top of it.
Mark Ellis, 1-1 the count. He is 1 for 3 in the game. And a strike on the outside. There's Derek Lowe, the starter, alongside Dallas Williams, the first base coach for the Red Sox. And there's Mike Timlin. In his 2nd inning of work, he's retired 4 in a row since he entered. And a pop-up, foul, and that will drop back into the seats. Veritek gave chase.
And you see more and more catchers, when they want the fastball up and out of the strike zone, they will stand up instead of just giving them the glove up there, because they want to make sure they do not miss in the strike zone. They want you to make sure you get it up high. And a good job there by Veritek. He said, make sure this ball is high. Often you see guys ask for the ball high, and they get it to the high part of the strike zone, and the hitter can handle it.
That was high, but away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boston got a run in the 2nd that was just handed to them by the Athletics, who committed 3 errors in that inning. Plus, one of the errors was an obstruction play. And he struck him out.
Well, we're seeing a lot of pressure pitching in this ball game. Guys making quality pitches and handling pretty good hitters. Well, he got ahead. He tried to get him to chase a high fastball. Look at this. Right there on the outside part of the plate. Maybe a little off, but a good pitch. And Mark Ellis can't catch up with it.
Now Terrence Long. 2 down. Nobody on. Long is 1 for 3. Millar will take it himself. Timlin has been excellent. 6 in a row retired by Timlin. Last of the 9th. Varitek, Kapler, Jackson, duel. It's 1-1. By the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And the new MLB Authentic Collection Performance batting practice jerseys and caps are in. Anybody can get them. Just visit MLB.com and check it out. Boston 1, Oakland 1. It's the Boston half of the 9th inning. The powerful Jason Varitek will lead off against Chad Bradford. Varitek safe on a booted double play ball by Tejada back in the 2nd inning. Eventually scored Boston's run. Since then he's flied to shallow right and grounded out to short.
And Varitek is 4 for 8 against Bradford.
And that's a blooper, and that makes it 5 for 9. Boston with its 2nd hit since the 2nd inning. Only the 2nd hit it's had to the outfield in the game. Adrian Brown goes over to first base, and he'll be the pinch runner for Varitek.
Well, a left-handed hitter sees this ball much better than a right-hander does because he has a little more time to wait, and he got a good pitch and he got a base hit.
So there's Brown. Brown, who only got into 9 games with the Red Sox this year, had 2 steals. Former Pittsburgh Pirate.
Well, the question is, what do you do here? Do you bunt him over, or do you try to steal the base and then bunt him to third base? Everybody's having a tough time scoring runs today.
I mean, this is a guy that you think you can get a jump against, right?
Yes, you should be able to, yes.
And Brown is back to the bag as Kapler has already squared around the bunt.
Well, that's why they do it. They want to see if he did, as I just said before. Now Kapler basically gave it away. But if you're Grady Little, do you change it?
Kapler has not had a sacrifice bunt in the last 3 years. Over at third base, Chavez in on the grass, expecting the bunt. And again, Kapler squares, and Brown is back to the bag at first.
Well, I mean, it depends on your philosophy. I mean, you know, you can be eliminated if you lose this ball game. So maybe you play it the percentages and just go ahead and bunt him to second base instead of trying to let him steal the bag.
The Oakland bullpen is busy. Kapler bunts it foul. I mean, Boston's trying to do things here that
they're not used to doing.
They don't do.
Right. But that's what the playoffs force you to do sometimes. Force you to play a little differently than you would, you know, in a regular season game.
They had 24 sacrifice bunts this year. 6 of them by Johnny Damon, 5 by Jason Varitek, 4 by Bill Miller, and nobody else had more than 2. Damian Jackson had 2. He's on deck. Ricardo Rincon, the lefty, is in the bullpen. You saw Todd Walker has a bat, and he's ready in the Boston dugout. But Rincon is also ready as a counter to that possible move. And the Fenway fans offering a chant, "Let's go, Red Sox." And Kapler, obviously not very good at this. 0-2. Now, I mean, maybe you've got somebody in the dugout, Joe, who might be a good bunter.
Well, the key is you have to keep the barrel of the bat above the ball and just play catch with it and not punch at it. But again, I mean, Kapler hasn't been asked to bunt in 3 years. kind of difficult to do it right now under these circumstances.
Well, if he has been asked to, he never did it.
Either way.
Adrian Brown, the runner at first. And he's back to the bag again.
There's another way to look at this. If you're going to try to steal the base, you have to try to do it now. Because if he retires Kapler and they pinch hit Walker, they're going to bring the left-hander in, which will make it more difficult to steal second. So if you're going to do it, you got to do it in this at bat.
That's the third, should be 2. Chavez double clutch down the relay, still in time. Well, that's not the Red Sox style of play. And instead of getting the runner over, a double play, the worst possible result. Now Todd Walker is going to come up with 2 down and nobody on.
Well, Chavez has showed you that why he wins the Gold Glove. Look at this throw, perfect throw at second base. I mean, if he throws the ball inside a little bit or outside a little bit, they're not going to make that double play. I mean, we've seen him be very accurate on starting the double plays, and that's how you win Gold Gloves. I mean, that's what a Gold Glover does. He makes the plays.
Walker has been introduced into the game as a pinch hitter, and here comes Ken Maka. And Maka is going to the bullpen for the left-hander, Rincon. 2 down and nobody on in the last of the 9th inning. 1-1 the score, and we'll be right back. Back at Fenway, game 3, and Boston is hoping for a game 4, but they're going to have to score some runs here, at least 1 at this point. And now Todd Walker is coming to the plate to face Ricardo Rincon. Rincon, the veteran left-hander, and he got into game 1 against Todd Walker, and Walker took him deep. One of 2 home runs that Walker hit in game 1.
And the ball he hit off of Rincon was a high slider. So we'll see the approach that Rincon takes against him this time around.
Walker had a great day at the plate, or a great night at the plate in game 1, and then got shut down in game 2, plus a costly error. Well, he was supposed to go outside with that fastball and ran it off the inside.
Yeah, I think he threw it where he wanted to. I know the catcher was set up out that way, but if a guy hits a slider off you, you know, for a home run last time, you want him to be aware that you will come inside with a fastball.
There's Keith Falk, the Oakland closer, getting ready in the bullpen now. Well, he came back with a slider here and pops it up. Tejada.
That's why you set it up with the fastball inside.
And we're going to go extra innings. Oakland will have Burns, McMillan, and Durazo coming up to start the 10th in a 1-1 game. 10 Pacific, the Athletics and Red Sox. Then at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central, the Yankees and Twins game 4. The Twins must win or be eliminated. And the Cubs and Braves, the deciding game. Game 5 from Atlanta. It'll be Kerry Wood up against Mike Hampton. Wood on full rest, Hampton on 3 days rest, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central Time on Fox tomorrow night. Yankees will have David Wells up against Santana at the Metrodome. And there is Todd Walker now at second base as Mike Timlin is still in there in his 3rd inning. He only threw 17 pitches. Doug Mirabelli is the new catcher. As Adrian Brown ran for Jason Varitek. We're in the 10th inning at Fenway. Extra innings in the postseason. Joe, let me see if you, I don't know how much you know about Fenway Park history.
I'm not good at trivia.
Do you remember the last time they played an extra inning postseason game at Fenway Park?
No.
Yes, you do. Don't give me that.
And what couldn't have been that long?
One ball. It's starting to come back to you now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I didn't know we played an extra inning game here, but that was quite a while ago. But I guess they haven't been in too many playoffs since.
Well, I'm going to give you a hint. It was October the 21st of 1975.
Okay, that would be during the World Series, so yes, I can remember.
Oh, you've been probably trying to forget about it ever since.
Yeah, well, not really, because we won.
You crushed one that night into a double play, as I recall.
Yeah, but you know what? We still won the game, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you didn't win that game.
Well, we won the series. That's all that counts. They won that little war, a little skirmish. We won the war.
Does the name Carlton Fisk ring a bell for you?
It doesn't ring a good bell, but yes.
Well, that was the last time they played an extra inning game in the postseason at Fenway Park until tonight, 28 years ago. 3-2 now to Burns, who's had 3 hits tonight. That's Pudge Fisk's retired number, now a Hall of Famer, number 27. 3-2 to Burns. Now he's a dangerous man to allow to get on base here to start off an inning. With lots of speed. Check swing, and it's a foul. Alan Embry, the left-hander, getting ready in the Boston bullpen now. And he's been joined out there by the right-hander, Young Hyun Kim, who started to throw as well. By the way, Pedro, as Grady Little had said, could have been used tonight as a closer. But with the home team in a tie ball game now, there will be no closing to be done. At this point, if the home team goes ahead, the game is over. 3-2 to Burns. Pop foul. And this will come back out of play onto the screen. There's Pedro back in the bullpen. Mike Timlin with a 3-ball, 2-strike count to Burns. Timlin's longest outing this year was 2 2/3 innings. So.
Well, this is a very key batter here for him.
And another pop foul.
Good job by Burns. He keeps spoiling them and just getting a piece of them.
Throwing high fastball after high fastball here. 8 pitches have been thrown to Burns in this sequence.
And Burns, of course, has had a perfect night. He's 3 for 3 in this ball game.
Infield single in the 3rd. A base hit in the 6th inning and a stolen base. That was the inning in which he never did touch home plate and apparently didn't realize it. Which right now is a huge play in this game. I mean, this game could already be over.
A lot of huge plays in this game.
Struck him out. Stayed up there, and this time he could not get a piece of it.
Well, good job by Timlin. I mean, he's continued to keep the Oakland A's off base. High fastball up and out of the strike zone. And Burns cannot catch up with it.
Now Billy McMillan, the leadoff man, with 1 out and nobody on in the 10th inning. So Timlin keeping a dangerous, speedy base runner off the bases there. And that's just off the outside of McMillan. McMillan hitting leadoff tonight, but he has not been on base. 0 for 4. Came up with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 7th inning and hit a line drive, but right to the second baseman, who at that time was Damian Jackson. Shallow center. Damon in a hurry. He's there. You know, Joe, it's been a lonely night for outfielders tonight. And nobody's hit the ball to the wall and left. Nobody's even come close to the wall and left. And hardly anybody's even hit a ball to the outfield. That's 73. There have been a total of 73 batters in this game. And that was only the 13th ball hit out of the infield.
Interesting matchup here. We saw Durazo hit a low sinker from Derek Lowe and hit it very hard in the center field. And if you're Timlin, how do you go after him? Watching in game 1, I watched Pedro Martinez pitch to him. He went after him with hard stuff, trying to get it up. We'll see how Timlin attacks him.
Durazo 0 for 3 with a walk. He has scored the Oakland run, but he takes a strike. I mean, we've seen some pitching tonight.
Yes, we have. A lot of quality pitchers.
Everybody who's pitched in this game has been outstanding. this is a great hitter's ballpark. There's been very little hitting tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 down, nobody on. Miguel Tejada, the most valuable player in the American League last year, is on deck.
I would think if you're the Red Sox, you would not want to get the ball down to Durazo.
And that slider in the hand when he hit it foul down off his right foot. Messier, a right-hander, warming up in the Oakland bullpen. The Red Sox have Johnny Damon, a lefty, due up in the last half of this inning. Then the right-handed Garcia Parra and the switch-hitting Miller. The top of the order coming up for Boston in the last half of the 10th. The crowd at Fenway, 35,460. Everybody standing again. 2 down, nobody on in the 10th inning. Trying to wait it. Ask for timeout. Backed away. Lowe, the starter for Boston tonight. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 hits allowed. Still out there in the dugout. Struck him out.
Yes. Another good call by the Red Sox. High fastball finishes them off.
9 in a row retired by Timlin. Now to the last of the 10th inning, and the top of the order coming for Boston. Red Sox won. There's Mike Timlin in the dugout with his warm-up jacket on. 3 perfect innings of work.
Well, this is finishes off. You do not want to get the ball down to Durazo, so what does he do? Throws the high fastball with 2 strikes and finishes him off.
And Derek Lowe, the starter, the first to congratulate him when he got back to the dugout. Here's Johnny Damon, the leadoff man, against Rincon. Too high, ball 1. Damon, leading off the game tonight in the first inning, hit one down into the left field corner, which eventually, on several bounces, reached the wall. That's the only ball that's reached the wall tonight. He had a double. He's also flagged to shallow left and hit by a pitch and grounded out to second. He is 1 for 3. The Red Sox have only 4 hits in the game, and 2 of those have been infield hits. 1 ball, 1 strike. That fastball in there. Both bullpens are busy. There's Nomar Garcia Parra, a right-handed hitter and a powerful one on deck. And the Athletics have a right-hander up in their bullpen. There he is, Jim Messier. This could be the final batter for Rincon to face. And he fouled that slider back. We have had a grand total of 10 hits in this game. And 4 of them have been infield hits by the 2 teams combined. And only 1 of those 10 hits has been an extra base hit, and that was by Johnny Damon. He would be one of the least likely hitters on the Red Sox if you were to say who would get the only extra base hit. But he's the only one to get one. Struck him out.
Good fastball. Everyone's throwing well. Well, Rincon just reaches back and lets the good fastball go right toward the outside corner.
So Garcia Parra going to face Rincon. No, now here comes Ken Maka. And Maka is going to bring in Messier. 1 out, nobody on. In the home half of the 10th from Fenway. 1-1 the score, and we'll be coming right back. This one, last of the 10th inning from Fenway Park. 1 out, nobody on. Well, Oakland was its own worst enemy, committing 3 errors back in the 2nd inning, and this play, an obstruction play, the only Boston run scored in that one. Burns apparently scored there, but it turned out he never touched the plate and was tagged out. Tejada thought he was going to be allowed to score there, so he stopped running after he ran into Bill Miller on his way to third base, but they did not allow him to score. He stopped running and got tagged out, and the umpires let that stand. And we've had several long animated discussions in the field about some of those calls tonight. Well, here is Nomar Garcia Parra. He has walked, popped to second, grounded into a double play, and had an infield hit. Facing Jim Messier. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, Jim Messier is a pitcher of perseverance. Here's a guy has a bad knee. You can see he has a big brace on it.
Pop fly, shallow right. Racing out is Ellis. Off his glove. Garciaparra holding it first, and I can't believe that he was really running hard in that one. He gets just the 1 base.
Well, the ball bounced away from Ellis. I thought he was going to try for second also. Well, it's a little flare. And you see Ellis go out for it. Garciaparra was running. He just decided that he couldn't get there. You see the ball hits off the tip of his glove and bounces away.
And there's a base hit for Nomar. The 5th hit for Boston. And here's Bill Miller, who is 0 for 4 in the game, now 2 for 13 in this series. Batting left-handed, which was his strong side, especially at Fenway. Manny Ramirez on deck. Nomar had 19 steals during the season. And Miller pops it up foul. That'll go back out of play. The Red Sox fans, those first 2 games, giving a lot of these Red Sox fans bad memories of things that have happened in previous postseasons.
Well, the one thing that is impressive to me tonight is the fact that the Oakland A's, they have a pattern, you know, how you want to pitch certain guys, but you still have to make those pitches. They have stayed in tight on Bill Miller most of the evening, Manny Ramirez, several guys, but you still have to get it in there, and they've been able to do that. And when they miss, they don't miss over the plate, they miss inside even further. So they've done a great job of sticking to their game plan.
Does that kind of remind you of that Oakland pitching staff in 1972 that came in and really shut down the Big Red Machine?
I thought that was the greatest pitching staff I ever saw under pressure. They never made a mistake the entire time they were pitching, and I won't compare them to that yet.
I mean, they did it through a full 7-game World Series. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, this Oakland staff,
they are not
making some great pitches
and no mistakes. I mean, if they decide to pitch a guy inside, they've been able to get the ball there. They pitch him away, they've been able to get it there. So you have to give them a lot of credit for what they've been able to do to the Red Sox here in Boston.
Zito, Lilly, and Hudson side by side in the Oakland dugout. And the outside to Miller, missing. 2-1.
Well, if you're ever going to do anything, this is the time to do it. I mean, you have a 2-1 count, counts in your favor. You have a speedy runner at first in Garciaparra. And if you want to put something on, this is the time to do it. And eventually you're going to have to make something happen.
2-1 to Miller. Manny Ramirez on deck. Nomar not running. Miller pops it up. Chavez over at shortstop. And he made the grab here. 2 down. And here's Manny. Back in 1990, the Red Sox faced the Athletics in the postseason. And Boston that year had a 1-2 punch of Tom Brunansky and Mike Greenwell, a couple of hard-hitting outfielders. And those Athletic pitchers shut down both of them. 1995, when they had Canseco and Mo Vaughn together, both of them were shut down entirely by the Cleveland Indians. Canseco 0 for 13, Vaughn 0 for 14 in that postseason. Garciaparra back to the bag at first. Jim Messier facing Manny Ramirez. Ramirez has only had 7 career at-bats against Messier, but he has had 4 hits in those 7 at-bats, including a home run. Manny has had no success against anybody in this series. It's slider bouncing in the dirt, grabbed on a hop by Ramon Hernandez.
It's interesting. I was watching Garciaparra at first base. He timed him perfectly, jumped out there, and then stopped.
Manny Ramirez 1 for 12 in this series. David Ortiz right behind him. 0 for 12. It's Nomar over at first. He's gone. Hernandez throws. Great save there by Mark Ellis as Nomar steals the bag.
That's what he did the time before. He got a great jump and then he just stopped. So I guess he was testing the waters. High leg kick by Mercier. And a good throw, except the tails at the last minute there. And you see Nomar easily in there.
And now they're going to go ahead and walk Ramirez. The count had gone to 2-0. So they're walking with ball 3. But you got David Ortiz on deck, the big left-handed slugger. So Manny gets the walk, and they'll at least start over with a fresh count. There is Rich Harden, the Oakland rookie, now warming up in the bullpen.
Interesting. You watch Manny, but I mean, Manny has been a great RBI man, and you don't want to give him too many opportunities. But you're also bringing a left-handed hitter up. But Mercier throws a screwball type pitch, and therefore, he feels like he's very effective against left-handed hitters as well as right-handed hitters. And there's the other left-hander, Halama. I thought he might be up and throwing, but he wasn't. Ortiz 1 for 4 off of Mercier in his career. Not a lot of at-bats.
Well, left-handers did hit .317 against Mercier this year as a group. Red Sox in this series have had 2 hits in 24 at-bats with men in scoring position. And there's ball 1. That's as a team, so nobody's been able to get hits in this kind of a situation.
Well, you see Ken Maka trying to get someone's attention in the outfield. I think if you're Garcia Parra, you have to get a big lead at second base in case there's a base hit to left field.
And now it is 2-0. David Ortiz, he was the big man. He was the best in the clutch down the stretch for the Red Sox. But a hitless in this series. Garcia Parra ready to go in anything from second. 2 down.
There's a screwball, but it didn't work.
3-0.
Now here's the call. If you're Grady Little, do you let him go? Do you let him swing 3-0? There's a screwball effect, but it was way inside. Didn't come back enough.
Millar on deck. Right-handed hitter. Threw him a fastball. 3-1.
Inside corner on the acceptable edge there.
Well, he threw that off speed pitch again, Joe.
Yeah.
And he fooled him.
Well, that's why I thought I would, you might let him swing 3-0, although it wasn't a good pitch to attack on 3-0. It was a pretty good pitcher's pitch.
So now Nomar, who has some speed anyway, will be off and running with the pitch. There he goes. A bloop, but Tejada back to get it.
Fastball in on the hands.
The Red Sox just cannot get the big hit. 2 for 25 now. And Ortiz 0 for 13 in the series. Tejada coming up. The Athletics leading this best-of-5 series 2-0 over the Red Sox. The Red Sox facing elimination tonight. They need a win. We're going to the 11th inning, though. Still 1-1 as the tension continues to build. Oakland has had many chances, and they've given away a lot. This is how the Red Sox scored their run in the second inning. It was an obstruction play. Then Oakland didn't score a run on that play. Burns never tagged the plate. He got tagged out. Then Tejada was heading home. He ran into Miller, and then he stopped running. He thought he was going to be awarded home plate and the go-ahead run, but the umpires, after huddling up, said no. And that's not the way they were reading that rule. And they let the out stand, and so here we are, still 1-1 as we go to the 11th inning. And Scott Williamson in from the Boston bullpen in relief of Mike Timlin. Timlin was just sensational. 3 perfect innings. He retired the entire Oakland batting order while he was in there. Nobody ever reached. Well, Williamson, the former Cincinnati Reds closer, is going to be tested here. Oakland's got big sluggers up. Tejada, then Chavez. Tejada shows bunt, takes a slider outside.
And Miller was very deep, and that was a good play if he could have got a pitch to bunt.
Tejada hitless in this game. He has had 1 hit in 14 at-bats in this series. Well, that was a high hanging slider that misses. 2-0.
Well, of course, you have to be careful with Miguel Tejada, especially now that you've gotten behind the count, because he does, hit some dramatic home runs.
Hit 27 homers overall this year. Ooh. He powered one right by him. 2-1 the count. Well, that was one to hit right there.
Well, I don't think it was. It was in, I think, enough. It was just a fastball. See, that ball's inside. He pulls his hands in to try to get to it. 2-0 with ball out over the plate like that, you probably could do something with it.
2-1 the count to Tejada. And another fastball in, fouled back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chavez, another slugger who's been shut down in this series. On deck, he is 0 for 13. Tejada 1 for 14. So it's not just the Oakland pitchers who've been making big pitches and big spots to the top hitters in this series. Two and 2. He struck him out.
Couple of fastballs in, and then the last one, he goes away. Well, you see Mirabelli set up outside, but he gets a lot of the plate with it, but he goes toward the outside corner. Just reaches back and lets it go.
Now Eric Chavez, 0 for 3. He's not been able to get the ball out of the infield. He's grounded out twice and popped out once. He was also walked intentionally once.
But he's always dangerous.
And a slider that is hit foul and back over the rooftop and maybe into the streets of Boston. 0-1. Chavez had 29 homers, 39 doubles, 5 triples, and 101 runs batted in during the season, but has not had a hit of any sort in this series. 1 strike the count. And slider in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rich Harden, the rookie right-hander, up in the Oakland bullpen. Scott Williamson, who had 21 saves this year for Cincinnati, did not pitch as well for the Red Sox as he did for the Reds. That one sinks down and away. 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Now it is 2-1. Ramon Hernandez on deck. If there is a game 4 tomorrow at 1 o'clock, John Burkett would go for Boston against Tim Hudson. Hudson would come back on 3 days of rest, 1 less than usual. Reach for that one, a bloop on a broken bat. Manny Ramirez got it.
Nice play by Manny. And one of the things that they said this year, he's really improved defensively in the outfield. But this is a little flare in the left center. Manny comes racing in, and he gets there and makes the catch.
Well, there was a lot of feeling around New England that Manny should have caught that Eric Burns double the other day in Oakland.
Well, I didn't think so. The sun came out, and it was a very tough field out there.
Here's Ramon Hernandez. 0-1. Looked like he might have twisted his ankle after that swing.
Well, he's definitely not trying to hit a single to right field. And you might as well take one shot. You sit on the fastball, get it, try to hit the green monster or over the green monster.
He hit 21 home runs during the season. That's the other side of his game. We know he's an excellent bunter. 1-1 the count. 2 down, nobody on. That slider in the dirt. A ball and a strike. Oakland has not had a hit since the 7th inning when they got 3 consecutive hits. 2 of them infield hits. And they had the bases loaded with 1 out. But Derek Lowe got Billy McMillan on a liner to second. And a Rubiel Durazo on a liner to center. And Oakland has not had anybody reach base since. They're in the 11th. High and tight, 2-1. Ted Lilly went the first 7. And, I mean, was he just superb? 1 unearned run. I mean, that should never have happened. The A's had to make 3 errors behind him in that inning. For Boston to get that 1 run, their only run of the night. That's back and out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oakland booted 2 double play balls back with Lilly in that same inning. And even then, the only run the Red Sox got was on that obstruction call. To the count. Slider right there. Strike 3 call. Williamson retires the side in order. Now Boston with Millar, Mirabelli, and Kapler, the due-ups. It is still 1-1 in Boston. The American League Division Series, the Boston Red Sox hoping to extend this series on, and as Grady Little, their manager, said before the game, the heat is on the Red Sox. Sure, all the pressure's on the Red Sox tonight. They have to win. But he believes that if they do win, that most of that pressure will shift over to the other dugout for Game 4 tomorrow. Well, here's Rich Harden, the 21-year-old right-hander, a great prospect. He got the win in that 12-inning game on Wednesday night.
But he also walked a couple of hitters in that game, John. And that's the danger you have with, you know, young pitchers.
He came on after Keith Folk had pitched 3 innings. He pitched the scoreless 12th, and then they won it in the last of the 12th. And as Millar pops one up. Tejada. I mean, this is really extraordinary. And you really have to give the Athletics credit, their pitching staff, and everybody involved with Oakland. I mean, obviously they have a plan, and these guys are executing it. I mean, the Red Sox, an extraordinarily powerful ball club, a great hitting ball club, especially in this park. And they're hardly ever getting the ball out of the infield tonight.
They hit .316 here in this ballpark as a team.
And tonight, a pop-up to the shortstop. That's one of the deepest hit balls they've had. Now Doug Mirabelli up for the first time. Fastball in there at 96 miles an hour. Strike 1. In the last 24 of the 3rd innings of Red Sox at bats, they've had 2 runs, 1 of them earned, on 11 hits. Trot Nixon out on deck. Slider is low. This guy got a pretty good repertoire of pitches. That great fastball. Also throws a split finger pitch. He pitched in this ballpark back in August, and the Red Sox roughed him up. He gave up 8 runs in 2 2/3 innings. And that's a foul out of play. He walked 7, just couldn't throw a strike that night. In the minor leagues this year, he was 11-4 in 18 starts. In 101 2/3 innings, he had 108 strikeouts. And Ramirez put in a call for a homer. Instead, it's a base hit to right for Mirabelli.
Well, good job of hitting there by Mirabelli. He did not try to pull it, got 2 strikes, just went the other way.
So now Trot Nixon's going to come up to pinch hit for Gabe Kapler.
Little slide piece away, and he just goes the other way with it. Nice hitting there by Mirabelli.
Crowd roaring its approval with the arrival of Trot Nixon at the plate. Trot had 28 homers this year for the Red Sox and hit .306.
Jason Varitek, they pinch ran for him when he got the base hit. Now they do not have another catcher, so they can't pinch run for Mirabelli. We'd like to have a little more speed at first base carrying the winning run, but they're not in a position to do that. Brown pinch ran for Mirabelli in the 9th inning. For Varitek in the 9th inning.
Well, that's one of the problems. You get to extra innings, managers' moves start to be eliminated. And that is a strike on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But of course, you have more moves you can make in the American League because of the DH. You do not have to pinch hit for the pitcher or move the pitcher. National League, you're a little more limited because you have to pinch hit for someone.
And then he's putting another call for a big fly. Nixon high in the air, deep to center. Burns is back at the warning track at the wall. It's gone! And the Red Sox have stayed alive with a win in the 11th. Nixon's first hit of the series, and it's the hit the Red Sox have been looking for 3 games and into extra innings of the 3rd one. Over the 17-foot high wall in straightaway center, and Boston will have at least another day.
Well, Manny Ramirez was calling it. He was they finally came through. Fastball, looked like it was a fastball middle of the plate away and up a little bit. You see, set up outside. There it is away, and it's up a little bit. When Nixon hit it, I think he thought it was gone. A great job of base running by Mirabelli. He was going to score if it hit off the wall because he had rounded second, but no avail. As you see, Burns goes all the way to the back.
Gary Miller standing by with tonight's hero, Trot Nixon, on the field.
Thanks, John. Trot, take a look over there. How does that feel?
You can only dream of these types of instances where you come into a ball game, you have an opportunity to help your team win. I mean, I went to the plate asking the Lord to just calm my nerves. And the last thing you want to do is get in there because you got your nerves are going crazy. I just told him to just calm my nerves and allow me to honor him out there on the field. And he came through for me today. It wasn't me swinging that bat. It was Lord Jesus Christ. And you know, this is what playoff baseball is all about. And this is Fenway at his finest.
It's not quite Kirk Gibson, but you're a little gimpy with the calf. You couldn't play tonight because Lilly was in there, but it was kind of iffy this series. Wasn't at bat for you. I mean, it is legendary in a sense of Gibson. You guys are gone without that.
This is in the World Series. Miles in the Division Series, but You know, hard to get pitcher. He's a young pitcher, and I knew he was going to come in with something hard. And when I shook, I just felt like, you know, he wanted to try to throw the fastball in there. And he's got an overpowering fastball, a great fastball. And if I had that kind of fastball, I'm going to want to try to throw it by guys. And I was just, I was a little tardy on it a little bit, but you know, that ball just carried out. Usually it doesn't carry in this cool weather around here at Fenway, but you know, the Lord blessed me right there.
You were standing there watching it, though. I think you thought it was gone.
No, I knew I hit it good, and then, you know, I was just running because I knew Mirabelli was the key run right there, so I didn't mean that much, and I was just hoping that Burns was going to run out of room back there. But, you know, I think the big thing today was our pitching staff. They did a phenomenal job here almost for 12 innings right here, shutting that. You know, everybody says they don't have much of an offense over there. They got a great offense over there, and our pitching just did the job today.
Did I see you with long hair before the game and you get a haircut during the game in the Kevin Millar tradition?
Yeah, these guys were all over me, and Kevin said, what would it be like for you to come back down in like the 6th inning with no hair? And I said, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it's not the first time I wore my hair like this, but I wear it like this now.
So the secret is the in-game haircut. Now, you mentioned the pitching. Let's get Derek in here, because without Derek, just give me your reaction to what you saw here. I know you came back and forth to the dugout, and this scene you see behind you.
Yeah, we just wanted to get back to home, and you know, we have possibly the best home crowd in all of baseball, and you know, you could tell by the way Lilly was pitching that you know, it was going to be a nip-and-tuck game, and you know, we had some. You got to give credit to Veritek for stopping Burns, and I believe the 6th inning. But you know, we really believe that we're still in this thing, and we'll come back tomorrow with the same attitude.
Okay, Derek Lowe is an amazing home pitcher, and Trot Nixon helped him and the Red Sox stay alive today. John?
Thank you.
All right, and so the Red Sox somehow stay alive. It looked unlikely for a long while in this one, and there were a lot of things that conspired against the Athletics for sure in this one. But ultimately, with the game tied at 1 in the 11th inning, it was Trot Nixon, who had not been in the game until right here, and he hit it over the center field wall, and that was a winner for the Red Sox.
We saw Manny asking for a home run, and he got it.
And Derek Lowe, the first out of the dugout, to race to the plate to greet the 2 runners. Mirabelli, who also came into the game late. He came in the 10th inning and had 1 at bat, and his single started this rally.
And that's the way to finish it off. There's Trot Nixon running around the bases. The go-ahead run had already scored, but the winning run had already scored, I should say, and he came around to make it 2-0.
The last time that there was an extra inning postseason game at Fenway was Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, and Carlton Fisk ended that with a home run, the fabled home run off the foul pole. And now Trot Nixon, 28 years later, ends the next extra inning postseason game with a home run, and it sets up a Game 4. John Burkett, 12-9, up against Tim Hudson. Tim Hudson will be working on short rest, 3 days of rest, here tomorrow at 1 o'clock on ESPN. We hope you'll be able to tune in as we bring you baseball from Fenway. The Red Sox are still breathing, and for the Athletics, for the 7th consecutive time, they have lost a game in which they could have clinched. Now to SportsCenter.